she struck that really well, and this was so much better for Kenya. Their best move of the game in the final third. Laid off. Really decent strike from Martha. Caught it nicely, and Ghazi always knew that it was going wide.
Good morning. It is the 5th of August, 2026, and this is Good Morning Kenya. In not too long, we're going to be bringing you up to speed with our stories that have been making headlines in the last 12 hours. The question is, which vision are you looking at in as far as development, governance is concerned? Well, government tends to think that we need to now focus on 2060. I want to rope in my colleagues Mike, Victor, as well as Vivian. What do you think about Kenya's track record when it comes to development and meeting its target? And I don't want us to go so far as the SDG goals of 2063. Let's just look at our very own blueprint that was said that was going to launch Kenya into a first world, and that is Vision 2030. Now, we are hearing of Vision 2060. What's your take? You two get us on X at KBC Channel 1. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Regina, today you started with some nice playlist.
Why are you telling the audience that was not private to my playlist?
Before we came on there.
I don't know the lyrics.
Yeah. I found a girl, beautiful.
Who sang that song by the way?
But why not? It's Wednesday, so we're crushing on women, and why not crush on myself?
Who sang that song, Ray?
Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The man with the red hair and the powerful voice.
Okay.
And speaking of visions, I think even as we move forward as a country, taking stock of what 2030 meant or means, because we still have some years towards the end of Vision 2030, we have to take stock of where we have made progress, what we have achieved, and what we have not achieved. What are the lessons we can learn from there? How can we make sure that we achieve them, even as we go towards Vision 2060? Because we cannot just go in without taking stock of what we have been able to achieve.
So taking stock of where we at before we get into Vision 2060. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because 2030 more or less is 3 years away from now. I know it is shocking.
Yeah.
Some of us got into this industry hearing about Vision 2030, and myself and Victor, I'm sure we were like, that is a very long way to go. But Victor, what do you think about this particular story?
Why not Vivian?
She's already telling your age.
That was in 2001. And come to look at it this way, 2060, that will be the next 33 years. Yes, next 33 years.
Yeah.
A person who is 15 right now will be how many years old? Or 20 will be 53. So Vision 2060 will get that person at the age of 53, all right? All factors remaining constant. I was with the CS, that is Oparanya, here on Monday, and he was the Minister for Planning way back then.
Yeah.
When the whole idea of Vision 2030 was conceptualized, and he was part of the planning committee and the team, because that fell under his docket. There's something he said, that Kenya needs another vision, because now Vision 2030, because there were 3 pillars, the economic, the political, and the social pillars. So looking back at what we've achieved, politically speaking, we have a new constitution, that's political.
Yeah.
All our bills of rights are there. We have grown politically speaking. The social aspect, he also talked about that. And now the economic aspect. The economic aspect, Regina, you can actually get more into that, whether we have hit the mark economically, or we are still struggling to get to that, that mark. But then now, I think we all need a vision. Without a vision, you can imagine if you're all blindfolded. How would it be? Just loosely put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I tend to agree with the both of you. You know, it's good for us to have that vision. You know, Vision 2060. That's okay. It's a long-term goal for us as a country, which is good. Just as you're putting it, you know, in 2001 we had, you know, the 2030 as the vision, and now I think it's almost the same years that we are looking at, if just a bit higher than that previous one. But needless to say that we need to also get to have a look and see just how far we've come into achieving the Vision 2030 that is just shy of 3 years, as you've put it. So, you know, what are the misses? What is still yet to be accomplished? And I'm sure you and I agree that there's still quite a lot that is yet to be completed, matters Vision 2030. So even as we plan for 2060, what have we done correct, and what more can be done in order for us to ensure that we get to that Vision 2060 and get to accomplish all that has been put in place. In fact, it's been put in place by very brilliant professors. So it's a good vision.
It's a good vision.
Yes, it's a good vision. So how do we ensure that we get to accomplish all that has been put in place?
Well, the team has weighed in on that particular discourse. I'm sure it's going to continue taking shape as we proceed, looking at developing stories across the country. And I know the team on the other end has quite a full entry, but they'll allow me to just bring you up to speed within the next 20 minutes on where the country is in as far as trending stories is concerned, and to invite you also to give your feedback on X at KBC Channel 1 in regard to conversations that we're going to be putting across to you this morning. Remember, it is the 5th of August 2026, and if you have not achieved your goals of 2026, well, I still think you have time. Now, let's start off just to look at what has been happening in the political scene. President William Ruto himself has cautioned the political class against using threats, coercion, and messages that could divide Kenyans along ethnic lines, while he was assuring the country that the 2027 general election will be free, fair, and peaceful. The head of state also underscored the need for every Kenyan to be allowed to exercise their constitutional right to vote for their preferred candidates without intimidation or interference. And then ODM leader Oburu Odinga alongside the president were in attendance to the formal recognition of village elders, a story that already aired and is continuing to develop, with a section of political class just poking holes towards that particular recognition of village elders. Some goodies that were offered, including a 3,000 shillings stipend there, and also access to SHA. So many questions arising there. You too can be part of this discourse. As I mentioned earlier, we are on X at KBC Channel 1. And right there on your screen, we have our WhatsApp line, so you can also get us on WhatsApp. That is 0707 303 212. Tell us where you're watching this broadcast from. Now, talking about political tolerance and the matters of good governance, drama ensued at Milimani's Magistrate Court as Mukurweini legislator John Gagusha tried to flee from custody. The first-time Member of Parliament, who was arraigned on Tuesday morning and was to be charged with hate speech, escaped in the afternoon as the court was preparing to rule on whether to take a plea and a High Court order barring his arrest. As Ruth Wamboi reports, he was rearrested and released on a 1 million shillings bail.
After being arrested at Royal Media Services, Mukurweini Member of Parliament John Kagusha was presented at Milimani's Magistrate Court. The prosecution team had drafted a charge sheet for hate speech remarks that he allegedly made in Kieni, Nyeri County over the weekend. However, before Kagusha could take plea, his lawyers opposed the charges, citing jurisdiction boundaries among other issues.
The accused writes under Article 49, Article 48 of the Constitution has been trampled upon.
Trial Magistrate Theresa Nyangena was informed the lawmaker had secured a High Court order from Kiambu County barring his arrest. Kagushia's defense team also had the court not to be a conveyor belt of persecution.
You are invited to apply the law and see whether there was compliance. If therefore there was no compliance with the law and it is so dictated that there must be a compliance, the question therefore would be, if the garbage in or is it garbage out?
Meanwhile, confusion reigned in the afternoon when the court retired for a ruling and the MP was sneaked out of the court's precincts, leading to panic among security officers. An hour and a half later, he was rearrested and brought back to court under tight security. The court expressed disappointment with the misadventure, slapping him with a 1 million shilling bond, pending ruling on plea taking on Wednesday.
And you are saying he's an advocate, he knows the court procedures. If you have been brought through custody, you have to go out through a court order.
Calling it as a misdemeanor, the battery of lawyers have urged the court not to validate a violation of his rights, even as all eyes are now set tomorrow to see whether he'll be prosecuted. Ruth Wamboi, reporting from Milimani's The Court.
That's developing, and we're going to continue keeping tabs on that. Now, still on the same breath in politics, cracks in the opposition have begun to emerge following the standoff in Mount Kenya politics, pitting three parties. And former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's Democracy for Citizens Party, DCP. The Democratic Party leader Justin Muturi, PNU's Peter Munya, and Lenny Kivuti of the Devolution Empowerment Party have dismissed calls by Gachagua to dissolve their political parties and merge with DCP. The trio has called on the DCP leader to embrace dialogue and desist from combative politics.
An apparent rift within the united opposition appears to be in the offing, following what is said to be sustained pressure by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on other parties in the region to hold up and join DCP.
Unilateral pronouncements by one political leader purporting to direct, dissolve, merge, or determine the future of another political party.
Former Attorney General Justin Muturi, the DP party leader, former Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya, who leads the PNU party, and former Embu Senator Lenny Kivuti of the DB party have flatly rejected the calls.
Honorable Gachagua, therefore, has neither the legal nor the moral authority to prescribe the existence or future of other political parties.
We formed your party the other day. We found these parties in existence. What has prompted you to think that they should dissolve and join this new outfit?
The leader slammed Gachagua, accusing him of engaging in divisive and combative politics.
And with a lot of respect to Mheshimiwa Gachagua, we are telling him to handle people with respect, restraint.
We respect Honorable Gachagua, but we think some of these agendas, these ideas, what he's doing, should be restrained. That's all.
The developments exposing the soft underbelly of the politics in the united opposition, as well as the politics of the Mount Kenya West versus the East, where the trio hails from.
It is not a question of a rift, because in a democracy, people are allowed to hold views which could be different from others.
And as the trio was addressing the press, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka was hosting the DCP leader and Eugene Wamalwa of DAP Kenya for a consultation meeting. This follows Monday's Azimio la Umoja coalition meeting that resolved to woo Gachagua and one of the coalition's former members who left the outfit last year, PLP's Martha Karua.
It was a continuation of what we started yesterday. It being understood, I was given the mandate to reach out so that we can fast track the formation of this new coalition.
Meanwhile, Co-Civil Society Organizations Network has asked the political class to exercise sobriety and desist from making hateful remarks.
And we want action to be taken because we will lose the confidence of parliament. Itakuwa parliament inapitisha mswada sio kwa misingi ya merit.
We'll continue keeping tabs on the political scene there. Now, findings of an investigation by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, into the September 2024 dormitory fire at the Hillside and Arusha Academy in Nyeri County have revealed widespread defects in the school's electrical installation system. During an inquest into the fire that claimed the lives of 21 boys, Engineer Alan Mogoi from EPRA told the court that the school's power distribution system did not meet the set standards for public institutions. And as Timothy Kipnusu reports, the investigations is still underway.
23 months after the deadly fire at Hillside and Arusha Academy in Nyeri County, the cause of the tragedy is still unknown. Findings of an investigation by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, have revealed widespread defects in the school's electrical installation system.
The wires that were supplying these other blocks were 4 square mm. 4 square mm, that is the cross-sectional area, the size of the cables were 4 square mm. And we usually require 6 square mm.
EPRA established that while the school's original electrical installations were done by a licensed contractor, subsequent power extension to the new buildings were illegal. They recommend that the director of the school, David Kinyua, be held culpable of the fire.
We found no evidence of earthing for that 300 watt peak system that was in the dormitory. Now, earthing is very key for safety of the system.
The authority also established that despite the school significantly expanding over the years, it did not apply for the electricity supplier on the Kenya Power and Lighting Company KPLC for additional load. Mogoi further said that by failing to upgrade the electrical supply after increasing demand, the existing installation was stressed, increasing the risk of a short circuit.
The electrical loads there were 2 LED tubes and 2 LED lights used for the DC system. So generally, the design and installation of the power reticulation system for the school did not meet standard.
On Monday, the court also heard testimonies of 4 witnesses, among them a government analyst at the government chemist, who confirmed that all 21 victims were positively identified through DNA matching. The court also heard the testimony of Peter Ndumia, a licensed solar expert, who was contracted by the school to install the solar backup system in 2022. Ndumia told the inquest that the solar power, which was manually activated, was off at the time of the fire. On Tuesday, 2 teachers also testified about the tragedy. The inquest is trying to piece together the series of events that took place at the school on the fateful night of Thursday, September 5th, 2024, just 2 days after the reopening of the 3rd term.
May the souls of the 21 boys who lost their lives continue resting in peace as parents, guardians, as well as the school administration try to get to the bottom of what exactly happened on that fateful night. The inquest is still on. Now we cross over to Matters Gold, where tension remains high at Upendo Center in Ramula, Siaya County, after day-long running battles between security agents and the residents. Trouble started after a gold prospecting company in the area, Shanta Gold Limited, arrived in the village for a socio-economic audit on a resident's claim. Now, the residents claim heavily armed security officers blocked them from witnessing the exercise, and afterward things spiraled out of hand. Achola Simon reports.
At about 6 p.m. Monday evening, Tens of residents were still lining up along the Luanda-Ramula Road, with tension palpable in the air. The destruction left behind after running battles between the police and the locals, evident at every market stop. Residents also displaying used bullet cartridges they claimed were collected after the police shot at them. Trouble is said to have started shortly after the Shanta Gold Kenya Limited, the company licensed to mine gold in the area, arrived at a village near Upendo Center to carry out a socio-economic audit on one of the residents who wants to vacate his land to allow for mining to commence.
Moja ni kutumia polisi kama intimidation. Hakuna mtu yeyote mwenye anaweza enda kwa public participation penye polisi imeshinda raia na numbers. Yeah. Hakuna. Hiyo hata kwa sababu community imebeba walemavu, imebeba wazee kabisa wenye wako na 90 years na imebeba watoto. Uwezi enda mahali umebeba polisi kadri ya magari 10 na useme hiyo ni public participation. Na wanatumia pesa mingi kwa security kuliko sisi kuongea. So kitu yenye iko ni ya kwamba sisi ni binadamu. Kama umekuja na ishara ya polisi, unatuonyesha nini? Inaonyesha vita.
Neighbors then gathered in their numbers to witness the exercise, and sensing danger, the police blocked the surging crowd, much to its annoyance.
Kuja hapa usibui mpaka saa hii sijafanya kazi. Na mimi ni mama mzee, niko na wajukuu na wajukuu wanaenda kulala njaa. Mimi wamenipigia tiaga kwa mlango na niko na mtoto.
Shanta Gold Kenya Limited mining footprint in the area will cover about 432 acres of land. An estimated 9,000 to 10,000 locals are expected to voluntarily move to pay way for the project. Those moving are expected to be compensated for the loss of land and any other investment they are in at the current market price. The company has already built over 83 bedroom houses to facilitate smooth relocation.
That's also a developing story there. We'll continue keeping tabs on the tensions down there in Siaya County. Now to matters business, SACCOs are losing a significant share of their income through costly commercial borrowing as they take loans from banks at high interest rates while extending cheaper credit to members. Cooperative's Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi says establishment of a central liquidity fund as proposed in the SACCO Society's Amendment Bill of 2025 will facilitate inter-SACCO lending at affordable rates, helping strengthen the liquidity management and improve financial stability.
The SACCO Society's Amendment Bill of 2025 proposes the establishment of the Central Liquidity Fund and the Deposit Guarantee Fund. Cooperative's Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi says the proposed Central Liquidity Fund will be key in reducing uptake of commercial loans by SACCOs and free more cash to be advanced to members. Kilemi says SACCOs lend to members at a lower rate than they borrow from commercial banks, which eats into their revenue. The proposed Central Liquidity Fund will see SACCOs with excess capital lend to other SACCOs at a lower rate.
As is now what we have, if you put your money in a fixed deposit, you get 7%. If the other SACCO goes to borrow the same money from the same bank, the bank will give them the loan at 16%. So we are losing around, say, 8%. But we have a system where we are talking to each other, we can easily bring that gap to 2%, maybe 3%.
Using the proposed Central Liquidity Fund, SACCOs will purchase key infrastructural equipment jointly and enjoy economies of scale.
That instead of everybody buying his own system, we have a system that you can tap in and take what you need at a reasonable cost.
The SACCO Society's Amendment Bill of 2025 also proposes the establishment of a Deposit Guarantee Fund.
And we guarantee our depositors that if something happens, they can get something to take home.
The direction that the legislators, the National Assembly is going to take in regard to this matter, we will bring you up to speed in regard to it. Now we cross over to sports, where Kenya's national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, are determined on retaining the continental title when the CAVB Women African Nations Cup Championship commences on the 23rd of this month. The players affirmed this during the unveiling of the logo of the championship at the Kasarani Indoor Arena, where they described the forthcoming event as a perfect opportunity to make history on home soil in front of their fans. team captain Melinda Sandes said the squad is determined to capitalize on home advantage in the pursuit of the coveted continental crown despite awaiting tough opposition from Egypt and Cameroon.
Will not let the country down, and also the whole Africa, and also our aim, as you are told, is to qualify for the World Championship and then the Olympics 2028.
You know, us as players, we know we don't have much time, but I know we are trying, and I know what we always do, we're gonna do.
We ask them to keep supporting us. It's not easy, but with their support, we'll go far. This team has to be in LA 2028.
We are very thankful to the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports for the support, the CS, Mr. Mvuria, and the PS, Bwana Mwangi. We are very, very thankful to them for considering us. And
As we bring in the headlines to a close, just to do a recap of the results of the ongoing WAFCON, that is the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations matches. Yesterday, Tanzania and Ivory Coast were squaring it out, where Ivory Coast emerged the winners, scoring 2 goals against a solitary goal by Tanzania. Also, Burkina Faso was squaring it out with South Africa emerging the winners of that particular match, scoring a solitary goal against Burkina Faso's none. Tonight, Malawi take on Zambia, while Egypt take on Nigeria, and we have been showcasing the WAFCON, and we continue to do so. So see you then. That's at around 11 p.m. tonight. So I hand you over to my colleague Victor Olo to take you through the next conversation, which you are invited to be part and parcel on. Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. The WhatsApp line is already on display on your screen. That is 0707 303 20. That is 212, that is. Tell us where you're watching this particular broadcast from. I'm Regina Manyara, wishing you a pleasant day ahead.
Hii ni plus kwetu bigi. We don't work like this. Wewe unataka tushikwe. I have a family, remember?
Not in the evening, Marvin. Now.
Tina is on my neck about Dave.
Nakuja saizi.
Una suspect mimi ndo niko nayo ni?
Si suspect, mimi najua.
We play people. They don't play us. But tunafaa kuwa careful na Mark.
Of course mimi ni mjanja.
Don't be too proud. Even the smart ones can be outsmarted at times.
Money and power. Take that away, you create a monster out of him.
Anifuata. Siwende basi.
Marabet, another chance. Aji with another chance. The mind games. Yasmin Marabet of Valencia. Marabet, he has the second one saved as well. Oh, come on. Extraordinary scenes. Aji Ndiaye is a national hero for Senegal. There she is, totally deserved. The Total Energies woman of the match, no one else but Aji Ndiaye, the goalkeeper of Senegal. And that was a wow performance.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
haha nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hota
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma, Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Shoro FM. Shoro FM.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's now 3 minutes past 7 a.m. Thank you for being part of this show. My name is Victor Lo. Please find me on social media at Victor Lo. Now, getting into the discussion, today being a Wednesday is The Viewpoint. At The Viewpoint, we are still continuing with the discussion. This started on Monday. The Vision 2060 that is being launched, that will be launched next week by the President, the Vision 2060, that is going to be steering this country in the next 3 decades. But yes, before we get to the discussion, we shall be joined by Ken Bosire, who is a training and consulting editor, to help us unpack this. In 2001, he was actively involved in the newsrooms, and the institutional memory he has is quite rich. That is why I want us to have this discussion with him. Let's just go back the memory lane, the social, economic, and of course the political 3 pillars of the Vision 2030. Let's understand that in the next few minutes. But right about now, let me take you through the front page of the local dailies. The Standard reports another killing. Just on the front page of the Standard, another killing. All right. The Standard says that Eric Otieno left home to earn a living but never made it back alive. The 19-year-old border rider was arrested over what his family says was a minor traffic offense. Days later, they collected him from police custody, battered, in pain and struggling to stand. He died soon afterwards. A postmortem found that he had suffered fatal internal injuries caused by blunt force trauma, making him the latest face of the country's mounting allegations of police brutality and deaths in police custody. That is what the Standard is reporting. And of course, the case of about, the Standard talks about, it was about an accident. And so that is on the front page of the Standard. Very quickly, on the front page of the Star, Interpol, Kenyans lost 500 million shillings in SIM swap fraud. Kenyans lost 500 million shillings in SIM swap fraud. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. But even with that, there's some good news when it comes to development in our respective counties. The Star has also given a ranking by an opinion poll which was done by Infotrack, giving different governors rankings as per their performance in their respective counties. Of course, we have got several counties led by Muranga, Irungu Kangata, who has 80%. Trans Nzoia, 76%, led by Junior Tembea. We have Kimani Kiwamatangi of Kiambu, 71%. Gladys Wanga of Homa Bay coming fourth at 66%. Makueni, led by Mutula Kilonzo, is again at 66%. Wesley Rotich of Elgeyo Marakwet, 65%. Professor Nyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu is at 65%, tying with Elgeyo Marakwet. He's also tying with Simon Kachapin of West Pokot at 65%. And last but not least is Kisii County, headed by Simba Arati, 63%. And finally, Jonathan Lelelit, who is the governor of Samburu, at 63%. So yes, that is as per the Star newspaper and the Infotrack opinion polls. Linda Mwananchi to know its registration status this week. Remember, they met the registrar of political parties trying to register Linda Mwananchi as a political party. They were there yesterday, and yeah, they're waiting to hear and get to know because of the timelines that guides the registration of a political party. Those are some of the things they need to fix. So that story continues in the inner pages. And finally, on the front page, Ruto expands grassroots machine with elders and chiefs in 2027 drive. The story is well fleshed out there for you on page 6 of the Star newspaper, and I think it would be important that I get into it. The president unveils a 3,000 shillings monthly stipend, smartphones, health insurance for village elders. That was announced yesterday in State House. In the latest move, he hosted more than 10,000 village elders at State House in Nairobi, where he unveiled a package of incentives in a bid to woo them. The president unveiled a 3,000 shillings monthly stipend, smartphones, health insurance, and training for the village elders, crucial for shaping narrative and opinions in the respective villages. So that is there. Okay. Finally, on the political side, which is also here, Linda Mwananchi movement leaders meet with registrar of political parties, and they're seeking review to allow formal party registration. Interesting times ahead. They will know their fate by the end of this week. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Nation reports that why Uhuru's Azimio plan faces resistance. Why Uhuru's Azimio plan faces resistance? Of course, is it a case of a strategy where former President Uhuru Kenyatta on Monday chaired a meeting that resolved to expand the coalition's membership? Former President Uhuru Kenyatta's concerted push to revive the Azimio coalition has triggered an implosion and rebellion within the wider opposition, with critics alleging a scheme to install Kalonzo Musyoka as its presidential flag bearer. That is what I have here. But while that is also happening, there's not some good news for health workers across the country, where county's health crisis deepens as striking medics dig in. A couple of them, one of them led by Uasin Gishu Health County health workers, demonstrating outside the county assembly in Uasin Gishu, that is in Eldoret. So that is what I have here. All right, so that is what I have here. Let's talk about matters. You can go ahead and take your favorite paper and read more details for you. Let me get into the discussion. First of all, let me bring in Senior Ken Bosiri, who is a training and consulting editor. Good morning, Ken.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Asante sana. In 2001, the Vision 2030 is launched. You are in the newsroom. How was the writing then?
First of all, thank you.
Down memory lane.
Victor, thank you. No, it takes me a long time when I was still at the desk.
Yes.
And trying to run through the day's papers. And I think it's important, first of all, before we even get into this, that these visions and the blueprints, what we call roadmaps, they're not unique. It's not just 2030. Yes, every administration has had its blueprint from the very onset in the 1965s. Just after independence, we had the sessional paper number 10, which also spelled out the route that Kenya would follow. And then every 5-year cycle, political cycle, there is a plan on what that government comes in, and it is normally captured in what we call a manifesto. And those are the blueprints. And then there was another major aspect that came, because we have to trace the history of all these visions.
Yes.
We came to the what we call economic recovery strategy that was done at the very early stages of Kibaki and Nyong'o, Professor Nyong'o, economic strategy and recovery for wealth creation and employment. And then Vision 2030 was the climax of all those the blueprints we've had. Subsequently, we've also had, out of that Vision 2030, the Jubilee government came in and they just picked a few things from the blueprint and called it the Big Four agenda. And out of the Big Four, which are also elements that are captured in the 2030 vision. And then the current government, Kenya Kwanza, picked out of it and did what we call the better better thing. And then out of the better now, out of all these things, are they now thinking of 2060? But what to note is that while these things were coming in, these blueprints, especially 2030, it's actually close to 18 years since we talked about, because the whole process began in 2006, and the documentation went through participation, through the experts, came to other people, then finally it was launched in 2008, not 2021 as it were, 2008, and then that marks about 18 years down the line. And it's a succession of plans that we have to do. But what I remember most is that when these things were conceived, 2030, there was deep involvement. The media was at the heart of these things. Because the experts spoke and they met us every day. And permit me at this time, I think, just to honor one of the guys. The guy who was the head of the secretariat then, the late Dr. Wahome Gakuru. He was the man at the head of the secretariat, and he was very engaging. He had what we called editors' breakfasts, briefing us through every stage of it. So the editors, the media was very well aligned. We got to understand the philosophical thinking behind it and what it was meant. So when we're reporting from a point of knowledge, a point of involvement, a point of ownership.
How unique was it at that point?
It was unique because 2020, that vision came against a backdrop of very many shocks. We were just recovering from the post-Kanu period, when the economic slump was really down, and there was clamor for constitution. So the whole country needed to be aligned. And those papers, those blueprints, were speaking to trying to rally Kenyans to think ahead. We were, of course, borrowing from other countries that had gone down that path, that you have to be very structured. What are the pillars you're going to use? Because then it was just to be a manifesto, but manifesto based on broader victims. Because the thing was that Kenya had lost its potential, and we needed to get it on a point where we would make it globally competitive in clean and hygienic environments. We had gone through a period of very seismic political seasons. And the bad politics, the instability ended up disrupting the economic activity, the social activities. So that was the backdrop to all these things.
I'm just trying to be a little bit curious, because the first Vision 2030 came at a time that Kenyans were not aware of the word vision. So what was the reception like?
Everybody was beginning to say, what is this vision? Could it just be another blueprint?
Yes.
But then what was important, that the media was very involved at that point, because the media did its part. Once you know what you're doing, then it was an aspiration, and that aspiration is what we built on. And then it was structured in such a way that there was clarity for the first time that this is what we want to do as a country, and it was structured in phases. And this is why it was important for us, is that the media was able to understand, audit it, and what we call inform the public, because the participation was very inclusive. So we were covering the county forums, the provincial forums, where people are coming together to discuss. Unlike what we have now, that started right from the grassroots. After the experts, it was everybody else took it to the grassroots before we launched. So the discussions were very important. It was participatory, it was inclusive, and it involved both international and local experts, and then finally went back to the public. And as the media, because we understood what it was, and there was a lot of buy-in at that time. This was just after the 2002 election. When Kenyans, for once, that moment that yote yawezekana, that anything is possible. So there was a belief and trust in the systems, in the political class, that they would deliver us from what we had seen as bad governance in the one party.
There was a hope for a new change.
A lot of hope, optimism. In fact, at one point we were voted as the most optimistic country in the world. And we trusted everybody before the bad manners of our politics set in. And 2005, in the fight to get the constitution, because we had promised in 2002 that we'd do a constitution in 100 days. We did not do the constitution in 100 days. That set a stage for contestation. And that contestation is what led to the 2005 referendum. The referendum then set a very competitive thing that in the end culminated in the I think was the precursor to the, set the stage for the 2007, what really brought the country to the brink. So all those, the vision then began to rally us to a point. And at that time, for once, Kenyans, after that shake of 2007, got a point that they would rally themselves. And people from a political, across the political divide came in and said, we need to put Kenya on its path.
But then again, because, you know, after 2007, someone would argue that Kenyans were so, we shocked ourselves. We shocked ourselves because the animosity, the kind of tension that was just brewing across the country, at some point just broke out. Then now the Vision 2030 here we have got the referendum, we have, you know, the exit of the last regime. So much was happening in the mind of Wanjiku. So how did politics play a key role in ensuring that Wanjiku really got the message clear, and even other supporting organs to support the Vision 2030 to move? Because way back then it was President Mwai Kibaki, who was a very reserved kind of leader.
What is important that you've got to look at the political, the culture of this country. That in the way, in the manner of thinking, Wanjiku's thinking and behavior has largely been shaped by all those key political players.
So they listen more to the politicians.
The key political players. One of the key political players then was Raila. Raila's input and ownership of this document, because we had just come into the Grand Coalition government. So we sorted ourselves and tunneled our thinking into this thing. So the late Prime Minister himself was so critical. He was so insistent because he was key in what we call the Economic Council that was at the heart of drafting these things. He was very particular because it spoke to what he would have delivered to the country in 2007. That was part of his manifesto. And they found convergence. With Kibaki was also thinking economics, and that was, I think, the best time that we are able to say we had our bad manners. But Kenyans have a way of rebooting them, of getting ourselves, we throw ourselves to the edge and we say, let's step back and reflect. And for me, this Vision 2030 was a rallying call that ended up tunneling us. Those aspirations were expressed in the 2010 Constitution.
There were three of them, the social, economic, and political. What necessitated these three pillars?
This is broadly what spoke to our situation then. We needed, because this vision also speaks to the broader, what we call the social development goals. Because socially, our infrastructure was down, our health systems were down. And at that time, we were also talking about the structural adjustment programs that had broken very many government aspects, like health. It was cost sharing. So everybody was feeling the squeeze. We had gone through the structural adjustment programs that were very painful to the country. So when this economic, the pillars came, the social aspect was supposed to address how do we fix the pain that was in the health sector, education sector, and all those things. That broadly.
And remember, we had a fragmented society.
Very. And then you see, out of this, all our Bill of Rights is based on that social pillar. A lot of it, the health, the education, and other things. But then the political pillar now spoke about the bottom line about the economic pillar is that we had realized that one of our greatest things that disrupts our development, cohesion as a country, was about our bad politics. And we needed to clean our politics, play politics on ideology, fix the governance structures. That was what was important. Because once you fix the politics, and that has always been our underside, and that is very disruptive. Look at the 2007, 2008. It was because of politics that we ended up burning up and destroying what we had gained in terms of economics and social cohesion. So it's that point that the pillar on politics was supposed to talk about governance. That's how devolution was born. So that we can redistribute our resources, create centers of power, so that allow Wanjiku to be at the heart of the decision making on what to do. So devolution was born out of this political pillar. And then things like Techno-City Concert were born out of the fact that we needed to develop and create in terms of social and economic development.
Okay. Let's just go back. when you look at the social pillar, it was about investing in people first, the way you put it, because we had to come back and mend the bridges. The social pillar talked about education that you've talked about, education and training, healthcare, water and sanitation, housing and urbanization, environment, gender equality, youth and development, sports, arts, etc., and finally, social protection for vulnerable groups. In all this, what have we achieved when it comes to health, education, housing, environment? All this, when you look at them, are also actually in the Kenya Quad administration. When you talk about housing, that is one. We have health, education, which was President Mwai Kibaki's main nut that actually locked his government. What have we achieved in the social pillar?
We have had what we called mixed kind of outcomes.
Yes.
Because we have made attempts. We have probably not gone the full cycle, but we also recognize that achievement is a social pillar. It's a process. When you talk about health, I see now what we call SHA is part of that, what we call universal health service. And then we are talking about what we call education, an attempt to bring in what free education, allow access to education. We have talking about technology development. We've given ourselves the TVETs. We're trying to open up more opportunities for education. And I think largely, let me point out that false starts, attempts, but the political pillar still continues to be the disruptive element.
Yes.
Because the politics seem to take a bigger space in terms of, we look at it in terms of, and our politics are really personality based. If we looked at the ideological bent, there have been a lot of gains that have been made, especially in the education sector. It may not be enough, but at least we have made an attempt. For me, what I will say is that the attempt has been there, and we can see visible. Like now we see the housing. It's part of what we have spoken about for a long time. But implementation, the process, the participation is still a weak point. The public participation element. That's why it was brought into the Constitution.
Yes.
That for me to achieve all these things, you need to carry everybody along. Because you're talking about people. A country is about people. Development is about people.
Yeah.
That's why we now measure development in terms of not GDP. We measure it in terms of the Human Development Index. How have I developed? How has my life changed in these programs? And this is where, in most cases, we are missing the point. And when you politicize, then people begin to look at silos. And this is why, as a country, we need to have a conversation. And the media, for me, plays a critical role in terms of doing an audit. Where have the hits and misses been? Because now everybody's talking about, we see another vision.
Yeah.
But have we looked at what we have achieved? How are we building? Because it's a continuum. It's not something, it's not just an event. We started from 63. All these things, they are critical things that we needed to achieve.
Yeah.
We've come with blueprints. Have they achieved? Where have we failed? And this is exactly where we need to have a discussion.
Talk of going back. I mean, do we have what are some of the lessons that we've gotten from the development strategies that were put in the Vision 2030, now that we have Vision 26 with us here?
I think some of the things, I think we like in the IT sector.
Yes.
I think we've done well. The IT sector. You know, Kenya is rated as one of the best IT savvy places. We landed the fiber. Now we're able to get the fast internet. That's part of what was the Vision 2030.
Yes.
I think that element, in terms of being IT and tech savvy, I think we have done extremely well, because we are now leveraging on creating jobs, online jobs. It's because that facility is available.
Yeah,
and that for me is the top score in terms of what.
Let's just go back a little bit. And should anything happen, and President Mwai Kibaki would come back to life and talk to us once again and look at Vision 2030, what the leaps that we've made as a nation, what do you think, he would say?
First of all, you'll be shocked that we abandoned that path. Our fidelity to the implementation of that, it was very straight and spelled out.
Yeah.
But the Jubilee government came in. They picked what they thought was the juicy parts. They did not, if they followed, we had faithfully followed the path. and with sobriety, we would have made bigger strides.
So which means the successive governments picked some parts of the Vision 2030 to develop their manifestos.
But they forgot that the mother blueprint was Vision 2030. In fact, there's been very little mention of Vision 2030. In the Kibaki era, everything else was domiciled on the 3 pillars, and we kept on reminding ourselves this is part of the Vision 2030. But the successive governments have tended to pick a few things and own them, and not say that we've picked them from Vision 2030. So that cherry picking has been one of our greatest undoings.
Do you think we need more than this? Because still, we're not so sure what the pillars of Vision 26 will be. But do you think we need more pillars? Because we have got economic, social, and political. What else do we need? Because when you have these 3 pillars, remember way back then we had the committee of experts who came up with these 3. And they have got in bullet forms and whatever, which was under social, economic, and political. Do we need any other apart from these 3? Or we just need to circle around the 3 and make them better?
I think what we need to do is to strengthen the pillars, because these pillars speak to the broad spectrum of exactly what the aspiration of a country is in terms of the social development, the Bill of Rights, and our document as a constitution. Which
it's like the constitution has been squeezed into these 3 pillars.
The constitution expresses the aspirations of all these things and gives us the legal legs, how to achieve them. And spells us and begins to tell us the Constitution then gives us the governance aspect on how we are going to run. It talks about how we are supposed to, devolution is part of the Constitution. And that means you begin to involve people to the grassroots, disperse power. The Constitution, what's the second Bill of Rights? I'm entitled to health, I'm entitled to housing, clean water and everything. All those are expressed in our Constitution. They have been captured in that document that binds us all as we the people. And this is what speaks to us. It's actually what we need to pay attention to, and then ask ourselves, can we remove these things without pushing one pillar and weakening the other pillars? And clarity of mind in what we need to do. That's exactly where we are so lost in discussions.
We take a quick break.
Right.
Well, let's just discuss more. Because in exactly 1 week, the Vision 26 will be launched. So let's take a break. We'll be right back with more with the Kenbo series. Stay with us.
Real difference, of course, will be who they face as Jireko tries to find the consolation for Kenya, and instead can only find the side netting. Well, she had a chance in the first half. And she was in behind here and a little bit unlucky with the bounce, because nice control. And then it didn't fall as far forward as it looked as though it might have done, almost as if it had a touch of backspin on it. Just held up, which meant it was a bit closer to her body than she'd have wanted it to be.
Pata makao na boma yangu.
Why do I feel the window is not safe?
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station, your service.
They say that for you to go far, you must have a vision. Okay, so that's why we're talking Vision 2060. Just asking a colleague of mine here called Faith. I asked her, where was she in 2001? Do you know what she said? I was not yet born. So Faith, this belongs to you. This discussion belongs to you. Okay. So let's talk about youth and employment. The key aspect here was to solve the youth unemployment in the country. And the successive governments start with the Kibaki government, get into the Jubilee administration, and now we have got the Kenya Kwanza administration. One of the key things is to solve or to resolve the youth unemployment. I don't know, let me pick your mind where the missing mark was when it came to Vision 2060, when it comes to youth unemployment. And if you're given a chance to sit around that table where Vision 2060 is being designed, what do you tell that team of 2, 3, 4 people forming that?
One of the things I think is very interesting that you ask about the question of the youth. These visions are created for generations.
Yes.
Vision 2034 was for our generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you started by asking me going down memory lane, because that was the moment for me. The energy was there,
mm-hmm.
and I was able to visualize myself. All other factors are constant. I would have said I would have lived for 30 years. And thankfully, I've gone...
You'll be here.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah.
So, at the center, at that committee, I looked at the composition of the committee. First of all, it had the people who midwifed the 2030 were still trying to midwife another document for the next generation. Professor Nyong'o was there.
Yes.
All those professors, all those experts you saw presenting this thing. But granted that they were given that chance, because Vision 2030, there are very many undone things. What in my view is that the people need to sit at that, to own it, to pass the baton. Those experts needed to have youth at the center of this discussion, because the aspirations of 2060 will be talking about the youth that we are talking about today. 70-80% of Kenyans are youth, and they all need to own the document. But there was that intersection where they needed to understand, what did you aspire in 2030? Where were the hits and misses? Now you're picking. You're not starting on a clean slate.
Yeah.
You are starting on. You're going to work on what and build on what we have. Now what we need is new thinking, new energy into that document, in whatever vision, because the vision is an aspiration that must speak to my current, it must be current. And the people who carried now the aspirations of the new Kenya, the tomorrow Kenya of 2060, are the youth. They needed. I didn't see that face of the youth in that team that was crafted.
But the skills that were being needed to have the youth well equipped was achieved. The TVETs, the middle colleges, and all that.
But they need to own it. They need to own it. They need to feel that we've been involved in the crafting of what really touches our lives. They need to feel it. Otherwise, then it becomes an academic exercise. There is an aspiration and the lived reality. The people are going to live the reality of 2060 are the current youth. And we must put them right at the starting point. That they must, when the starter's gun goes off, they'll say, yes, I saw the drafting, I saw the philosophy, I want to live by those tenets, those aspirations that have been set in the 3 pillars. The political thing, detribalize our nation, begin to think about what politics of ideology as opposed to regionalism and personality. They will live through it, and they will see the folly. They will be able to, they sit at that intersection where they see, we had a good vision. Why didn't we achieve it? The problem was our bad manners that are as a result of socialization from the early days caught up with us. The youth have a new social set of values that they can begin, because we saw them speaking out, saying we want to be at this table, not to be in the menu. That's what we are trying to tell them, that we can plan for you. But they must be part of this planning process.
Perhaps not even part of it, maybe the secretariat, we should have some faces of youth owning it, because the next 30 years, you never know. The likes of professors, Professor Nyong'o was there, and we have got some young, good brains. Let me come back and ask about it, because do you think the government should borrow certain things from Vision 2030 to Vision 2060?
a lot of things, a lot of undone things, because it's a continuum. We cannot say this is cut off.
That now start afresh.
In fact, we need this Vision 2030 is just a renamed, should be a renamed version, a refined version of 2030, because a lot of what we are speaking about today is already enunciated and aspired to in Vision 2030.
Yeah.
If we fix the 3 pillars, because those are the big things, the social aspect,
exactly,
the political aspect, particularly the politics, all these things, unless we have all these visions are premised on the fact that we'll have a political, a socially political and stable environment, because you cannot have investors to invest here and create jobs for the youth in a very unstable political environment. So stability of a country, a clean environment where we all we speak ideology where we believe in, and we have value systems that define our society. Our attempt to get Chapter 6 was devalued. We need to begin to go back to that Chapter 6 of the Constitution to enable us to elect proper leaders who are accountable to us, to elect leaders who will know what it's beyond themselves. We need to know that corruption is a bad thing, and that is all spelled out. Our good manners as a country should be, Chapter 6 for me should be the strengthened path before we go as we go into Vision 2030.
You know, we talk about the 3 pillars, but there's the other side of the political class, and you'll agree with me. Some politicians would pick what is just convenient for them at that point and get to the Vision 2060, borrow a few things here and there and craft their manifestos from MCAs, talk to the women rep, talk about the governors and all that. They'll just go back to the Vision 2030, the 3 pillars, and pick what is good for them at that point. Let me ask you, I mean, if it was an act of parliament to lock the Vision 2060 moving forward, don't you think it would make the successive governments to operate within that framework that do not come with a manifesto? We have a manifesto here that is going to guide all the way from Mandera to the southern part of this country, that we operate within that pillar. So don't come with your own manifesto as a country or as a candidate.
I think the manifestos largely that come from these politicians, they pick from the big frame, which is Vision 2030. But then it goes to that one single point. Do we make them personal, or they're still...
Now, that's the thing, yes.
Yeah. We still have to own them as a country. As a voter has a big role to hear. You speak about this pillar. And even one of the pillars is weak, then the whole edifice collapses. And this is a problem that we have been cherry-picking. We've not been faithful. We've been very cosmetic. And the political class looks at the short-term gains. It always picks what is, for me, the easiest thing. For me, something that is excitable. And yet, for us, our fidelity to Vision 2030 was to walk the whole journey, wholesomely, not in pieces. You can't hop, skip, and jump and hope to get to your destination. You run out of energy, or you will trip. You will trip and then fall. And these are so many falls that we have had. And I think the successive government of Jubilee and Kenya Kwanza have had that point of picking what is convenient for them and what is excitable to their basis. And yet we should have said, we have a vision. What is our fidelity to this vision wholesomely in the 3 pillars? And we must talk of the 3 pillars and the 3 pillars. Today, if we look at better, how broadly does it speak to the 3 pillars? It has just picked a few aspects of it. It must be moving all the parts and knowing up to this point, if we have moved, let's do an audit. How far are we down? What has hindered us? Because it was very structured. And this structure is what we need to follow. But this all over the place, everybody picking what they think is convenient for them, has been our greatest undoing. And unless we begin to fix, and I keep telling people, we begin to fix our bad manners in the political pillar and get fidelity to that constitution. For example, why aren't we? Because part of it is the 2/3 gender rule. Getting everybody on board. Getting everybody on board. And harnessing the potential of all Kenyans, all citizens. We still see exclusion of people, of certain citizens whose energy is not being tapped. Everybody's, it must be all hands on deck.
Yeah.
But we've not seen that. And this is part of the bad politics that we have.
Sina, look at it this way. When the president was talking about the other day, he mentioned some of the countries that have actually prospered because they had a vision. Or during independence, Kenya was at par with, Singapore, top of the Asian tigers and all that. So the question is, how has the Vision 2030 getting to the Vision 2060 now? So that you can have a clear vision. Has it helped, or how has it helped Kenya to get that international rank, the global ranking as a nation?
I think part of it is that we have tried, like we said, we have picked a few aspects and run with it. But globally, there is a bigger vision for all the countries to follow. There's already a frame.
Yes.
There's DGs. Because that is, all these things are not picked out of isolation. They have been picked from those SDGs. And each country expresses them in their vision. And out of it begins to say, this is how we shall achieve them. Because in the end, we're talking about human development. And this human development, cannot stay in isolation. We are interconnected. If we do bad politics, we cannot implement what is in the social pillar and economic pillar. If we do bad politics, then we cannot implement, we create unstable societies that cannot invest, cannot grow the economy, so that we absorb people. We cannot have education, we cannot spend properly. So this is what is important, that we must move everybody along, and we must, first of all, clean our politics, our hygiene. Who do we elect? Who is the driver? Who's going to be the people who are driving this vision? If you have a reckless driver, he'll run you off the road. And this recklessness is often expressed through our political elite. And this is where, the aspiration of the Constitution, we the people, where do we the people become irrelevant in the process? That is so key in our Constitution. That's why we talk about participation, inclusivity, and in terms of beginning to speak, and ideology. In fact, we have right now, looks like it's okay, we can do cosmetic fixes. And yet those cosmetic fixes end up causing a lot of damage. And this is what we have done with all our blueprints.
Okay. Assume you are sitting behind your computer in the newsroom, and now Vision 2060 is here, or you're giving just a build-up to Vision 2060, which is be launched next week on Wednesday. How would your writing be? Would it be futuristic? Just give an idea of how you'd write that paper.
First of all,
on a Monday,
I will start. Yes, it's good to aspire, but where are we? Where have we come from? Have we kept our faith to what we have? You, first of all, do what we call a ground check. Where are you standing? Before you begin to leap, you go to the second floor of a house. You begin from the base. Before you build your house, have I put the proper pillars? And if I put the pillars, have I strengthened them? And have I been faithful to what I set out to do as a country, as a society? This is exactly where the point is. Before we leap, we need an interface here before we even have, maybe in that discussion that will be about Vision 2060, before we Christianize it, there has to be, where have we come from? What have we done? Where have we gone wrong? And then say, here we can give ourselves a tick. And what can we then pick, and what can we say at what point? Because we are not starting from ground zero. We already are on the path. And there's a lot of what we call passionate, self-caressing talk about, it's almost like essayist, but development and the aspirations of a country. If you have walked 18 years that we have come, what have we done? Have we gone backwards or gone forward? Today we are talking about more youth unemployment. It has a social repercussion. We're talking about a health process that is not growing. Do we know how many people we are planning for today? Have we done a census to know? Because we are talking about a vision. For who are you planning? What is the size of your population? There are certain fundamentals that must be looked at. I know the people, and what is the number, and how am I going to resource apply, and is everybody carrying along? Today as we are, I don't think we can speak. Each one of us has a tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Instead of the bigger vision, each one of us has a vision that is just around themselves.
Great. Senior, let's talk about the political goodwill. Because this has to happen, because if the political goodwill is quite fluid, then Wanjiku will not get the right message. So let's talk about the political and governance reforms. Do you think there's some parts which are necessary to make Vision 2060 come to fruition?
Yes, like today what you've just mentioned, what you saw in one of the headlines was about ranking governors.
Yeah.
This is still the bad manners of putting things.
This development in counties, when you see...
It's not counties, it's about personalities, glorifying personalities.
They're the heads of these counties. So if you're making good use of our resources, then who takes the bigger chunk of
I think
glory?
this conversation should have been talking about Wanjiku more. And talk about what are the things. Because I see more heads here. I should have seen a frame on page 1 saying these were the benchmarks that we did.
But who takes the glory? The governors.
The governors. And this is exactly what has been our problem. Personalization of what should be our national aspirations. And the moment we bring Wanjiku to the center of this without bringing who is behind it, making Wanjiku know that I own this governor responds to what I want, is exactly what it is. It's not what so-and-so has done.
So how can Wanjiku be included in the front seat?
We need the law on public participation. I've just seen in Siaya where people are fighting. I said, you want to do something which is good, but you've not involved me. Unless you involve the person and say, yes, I think this works for me. I look at what is happening in Kibera, in slum, in the housing. People were volunteering. They didn't have to get the police to move them out. They said, we need these houses. They were moving themselves out and saying, we are creating space for houses because they have owned it. They understand the benefits. So there has been ownership and acceptance that this is what I need. Then make them understand that things like in the social pillar, once you're in those organized housing, you will get your water, all those amenities that speak to the social pillar. This is how you structure, you carry everybody along. You explain to them. You don't come raining down on them and say, this is good for you. It must be how this is what I want. And we need to create, for me, the revolution was supposed to be that moment where we sit in Homa Bay County and say, I, at Oyugis, this is what I need. I don't need a flyover. I need a school.
Did you have to mention Oyugis?
Yes. That's closer to my home, so I understand it. So this is where we would just say,
I know why.
Yeah, this is what it means. This is what I want. Not what the MP wants. And telling them, and the MP becomes a facilitator in terms of what, because they sit at the point we've given them, do for us. It's like your children saying, Daddy, today we would like to eat, would desire to have some chicken. And then you facilitate the chicken.
And when you talk about the counties, we the two levels of county governments, the county and the national, of course. The new constitution gave us those two levels. So what should be the bridge between the two levels of government to make sure that the Vision 2030 works perfectly well?
I think
there had been a struggle between the two levels. Sometimes in the past, they had not so good kind of relationship.
It is about territorial, refusing to cede power, refusing to cede, and that power goes with certain resources. Some people resisting that if I give this, I'm going to empower this. But also on the flip side, the people went into the counties as county governors. They went with the same frame, template of the national thing, the big man syndrome. I'm going to sit there and tell people what to do. I'm going to dish these things because you've seen projects named after people. After every project, a school project, is done by Governors One. So that's not the point. The point should be the counties were supposed to be centers of production, centers that were spurring economic activity, centers where people were supposed to get more involved. But we see what is happening at the counties is exactly what is happening at the national level. So the two places, they have the ego trips, they have territorial things they want to do, but yet they forget the person they're supposed to serve here is the Kenyan. The national, whatever, local, it's about Wanjiku. And if Wanjiku is not served, we see more often that Wanjiku being relegated to the sidelines, this is good for you. And this is exactly where we need to get ourselves. When Jiko needs to be at the forefront in getting involved. I want to see less talking heads, less figures of heads of who is in charge of the county. We should be talking about County A has done the following. This is how it has moved its development index, as opposed to the person who is sitting in County A.
Perfect. I like the way you put it. No talking heads. You want to see a county.
I want to
leading.
see a county, yes.
Great. Sina, let's do this. You know, we have got saboteurs. And the president is the chief principal when it comes to having a vision of a country. Allow me to ask you, some of the biggest risks that should be avoided to make this vision work, that the president and even the team responsible should be very much aware of, some of the biggest risks based on the previous experience.
I think one of the things that we can learn from the inclusion of the launch of Vision 2030 was more sober and not antagonistic politics. The president is the head of state. It is the Baba Taifa. And Baba has to take a more embracing role. He's attempting to say, let's carry everybody on board, which is really what we should do. But that contradiction comes in as him as a politician again. I would have loved to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to bring everybody else. You know, one of our greatest problems is, while he has good ideas, all leaders have good ideas, but there is one thing, that they want to be in the next government, the competitive next thing. If I came in with a manifesto, a 5-year manifesto, and I want to, this is what I promised to do, let me do it without thinking that I want to be re-elected. Let me do it, let the people judge you and re-elect you. I would like to see a president or an MP or a governor who says, I'll do what I was supposed to do and I promised to do. Whether you re-elect me or not, it is not my problem. I would have, my contract is this period. The next one, it's up to you. But we are not allowing the voter now to assess you and say, you're telling them, I have done this for you, so you owe me. This owe me attitude. I would like to see the president as the person trying to shepherd this, to bring more reconciliation, more inclusivity, and reduce his urge and appetite to be re-elected. That should not be his focus. You should not do these things because you want to get re-elected. You do these things because, gee, it's your duty and you're doing it for the country, so that you carry it above yourself. And once this happens, then you bring down the temperatures. Kibaki talked less. We want to see less talk, more involvement, more delegation, so that everybody is on board and feels that we are part of the moving parts. But if we begin to personalize it, you begin to put your fingerprints on it, then everybody's going to get murky. Everybody's trying to put their fingers on it.
So as we come to a close, how different should this be? That time, you know, the launch is there, the entire state is involved, the sector players, the civil society. We had got the judiciary way back then because I had the legal background. We had Wanjiku at the forefront. So let me just ask you, as we finalize, now, how should this be different when it comes to the issue to do with the launching of Vision 2060? How should it be handled differently?
I think one of these, let's remove a lot of bureaucracy from it. Let that assembly should not be about boardroom stuff, a boardroom kind of staging. We should have what we call almost a national assembly type, where we bring all people on board. And the people who have drawn the blueprint listen more to, because there are aspirations. There are people that need to speak. We need to speak to it, get more people across. And for me, we should have started from the people's assemblies, right? The Kamkunjis, the people's parliaments, then harness those things, test this thing against it, so that we begin from, if it's at Kamkunji, what do the people, so that people say, in this thing we've achieved the thing from the social pillar. This is it. You can feel it. If you're talking about the sports element, how do I feel it? It's not an abstraction. We must begin to make it real and ownership. This is what we need. And begin it. doing it at the level where it's being done is very official.
Yeah.
It's a statecraft thing, while it should be a Wanjiko craft, a Wanjiko driven stuff. And this is why I really must begin to stress that we need to get that public participation law enacted and respected. Because unless you carry Wanjiko along, these things are just going to be so and so did it, so and so launched it, to just be ticking boxes. But we now do a reality check.
It should be Wanjiku oriented.
Wanjiku oriented.
All right. Sina, we have to stop it at that point. We started at 7, it's now 8 sharp, so we have to thank you for joining us. We'll be having more of this discussion moving forward, because come next week on 12th of August, that should be on Wednesday, the President will be launching. We're yet to get more information, but as you've heard, be part and parcel of the conversation, because the Vision 2060 is about the nation. It's about you and me. So let's talk about it as a nation. The public participation will be, going across the country. And of course, if you're called upon, go there and make your voice count. All right, asante sana. Ken Bosire,
yes,
who is the training and consulting editor with so many years of experience behind the newsroom. Asante sana for being part of the show.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a break. GMK continues after this. Stay with us.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026. Welcome to Morocco! Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned Queens of African Football? Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action unraveling on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Chaka getting herself into trouble, as does the goalkeeper as well, and Algeria have their second. And Lilian Arawar in the Kenyan goal will not want to see that again, but that was pounced upon. And Algeria have a 2-0 lead. That's her first goal. And a Women's Africa Cup of Nations as well. Knew exactly what she wanted to do. Did the pressing all herself. Look at this. Caught Ochaka and then caught Arawar as well. Didn't quite get enough on the lob, but ultimately it was enough, given the keeper's error.
Mahali popote ulipo, kumekucha kuchele, aghalabu sio mchele. Hii ni KBC Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya, na KBC Channel 1 TV. Ni saa 2:02 saa za kanda ya Afrika ya Mashariki. Kipindi hewani ni mtagusano wa Zinga na GMK. Sasa sijui kati ya Zinga na GMK nani kamuoa mwenzake? Lakini kwa vile GMK kuna wanawake wengi, tukubali tu kwamba Zinga imewaoa. Karibu sana mpenzi mpenzi mtazamaji, ikiwa leo ni tarehe 5 mwezi wa 8 mwaka wa 2026, ni siku ya Jumatano. Leo hatuangazii joto la kisiasa nchini, hatuangazii matukio ya kisiasa nchini, lakini tunaangazia swala zima la afya, mpenzi mtazamaji. Na mjadala kuhusu ujenzi wa kituo cha kukabiliana na ugonjwa wa Ebola, ugonjwa ambao umechepuka Afrika Mashariki, hususan katika Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo na kuweza kusambaa katika taifa jirani la Uganda. Changamoto zinazokumba mfumo wa halmashauri ya SHA ama huduma za SHA, mpenzi mtazamaji, malalamishi ya wagonjwa wanaolazimika kupitia huduma licha ya kuwa wamejisajili, vile vile madeni yanayodaiwa na hospitali, upatikanaji wa dawa muhimu, mpenzi msikilizaji, katika hospitali zetu, pamoja na usalama wa huduma za afya umeweka sekta ya afya chini ya uangalizi mkali wa umma. Wakati huo, mpenzi mtazamaji na msikilizaji, serikali inaendelea kusisitiza kuwa mageuzi ya mfumo wa afya yanalenga kuhakikisha kila Mkenya anapata huduma bora, nafuu na wakati unaofaa. Leo hii, mpenzi mtazamaji, tunaangazia hatua zinazochukuliwa kuimarisha viwango vya kitaalamu kwa wakati. Leo katika sekta ya afya, mpenzi mtazamaji, kuimarisha uwajibikaji na vile vile pia utekelezaji wa huduma jumuishi za afya nchini Kenya. Kupitia mazungumzo studioni leo, hatimaye tunaye katibu katika Wizara ya Afya anayeshughulikia idara ya viwango vya kitaaluma, Mheshimiwa B. Mary Muthoni. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Katibu ndani ya studio zetu asubuhi ya leo.
Asante sana, asante sana.
Uko salama kabisa?
Niko fiti kabisa.
Ni kama Rais Daktari William Ruto aliwafundisha kurauka. Nilikuwa niko upande wa pili, nasikia umerauka mpaka nikashindwa sasa. Kuna kitanda mahali kwani ya kupumzika?
Najua kuna kitu mzuri kufanya kazi na mtu mwenye anaelewa nini anataka, na Rais William Samuel Ruto anajua chenye anataka na kufanyia wa Kenya, na aswa ameshadhibitisha hivyo. Na mtaka cha mvunguni
sharti ya iname. So katibu leo umeinama mapema.
Sasa lazima turauke mapema ndio tushughulikia wa Kenya ndio wapate ile services tuliwaahidi,
bila shaka,
and especially during campaigns. Na umeona ya kwamba tunaendelea vizuri kutokana na mambo ya afya, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya MSME, mambo ya housing and mambo ya digitization.
Kweli.
Hiyo maneno yote tumeona inaendelea katika nchi, aswa mambo ya afya.
Bila shaka.
Tumesisitiza ya kwamba kila Mkenya sisi tutaweza implement the Constitution of Kenya. Na ukiimplement Constitution unaenda pale article 43 unasema ya kwamba kila Mkenya lazima apate availability, affordability, acceptability, of quality healthcare. Na hiyo ndio tunataka kuihimiza kabisa. Meona ya kwamba tumeleta hii mradi ya universal health coverage. Na mradi ya universal health coverage aswa sio kuongea tu mambo ya SHA. Iko na mambo mingi ndani yake. Iko na mambo ya healthcare workforce. Iko na mambo ya commodities and technologies. Iko na maneno ya pia service delivery, so iko na maneno mingi ndani yake kabisa. Infrastructure, equipping of facilities, and digitization. So sisi pale Afya House kazi yetu ni to make sure that we are implementing that kila licharo. Na hapo tuko na, ndio maana uliona kama juzi ukiangalia mambo ya universal, mambo ya wafanyikazi ama human resources for health, unaona ya kwamba tunaendelea kutekeleza permanent employment for universal health coverage staff wenye wamekaa kwa contract for almost 6 years. Ukiangalia mambo ya digitization, health systems are heavily digitized kwa sahi. Hakuna, kila kitu ni kubonyeza tu kuanzia wale wanaitwa community health promoters kwenda mpaka mahospitali. Unakuta community health promoter ako na gadget yake, simu yake yenye akienda pale manyumbani anaweza akaweka data. Akikupima blood pressure anaweka data, akikupima sukari anaweka hiyo data. Hiyo data inakuja kwetu, inatusaidia kukusanya pamoja na kuplan even better. Kutokana na hiyo unaangalia pia kwa mahospitali kama ni mradi ya SHA heavily digitized again, kutoka ukiingia kwa triage mpaka upewe madawa, hauhitaji kubeba ile kitabu ya quota exercise book yenye tulikuwa tunabeba kitambo. Sasa wewe unaenda tu na ID yako ama kidole yako. Bora uko na kidole na ID, basi unaenda hospitali na unatibiwa. So digitization coming from the Digital Health Act of 2023. Na pia unaona ya kwamba mambo ya infrastructure umeona pia tumesaidia hata counties kujenga mahospitali. Iko kule Nyandarua, we are getting a level 6 hospital from Nyandarua. Kule South Rift there's a cancer center in Kisii. Unakuta hospitali ya Meru tena inakuwa upgraded. Kule Embu mahospitali zinakuwa upgraded. Mombasa pia, Nakuru, because infrastructure ndio ni muhimu sana kukuwa na infrastructure ile njema. Na pia tukiendelea unaona ya kwamba iko mambo ya equipping of health facilities, which is very very important. Na tuko na mradi aswa muhimu. What the counties are supposed to do ni kuandika tu ni equipment gani hauna kwa hospitali yako, alafu vendors wale wamekuwa contracted wanalete zile equipments kwa hospitali. Utalipa hiyo equipment, kama ni CT scan, MRI, utalipa hiyo ukitumia, ndio itakuwa reimbursed na SHA ndio ulipe. So there is hakuna investment yoyote utakuwa unatumia pale ama kuwekelea pesa yoyote kabla uitumie. It is fee for service. So hii mambo yote tunaifanya ndio mwananchi wa kawaida apate kupata healthcare which is very decent. Alafu pia tukarejelea maneno ya insurance. Hapo ndio tulilete mradi ya SHA. Social health na SHA ni it is the agency. SHA ni agency. Iko zile funds, zile ziko pale ndani zenye zinatusaidia sasa kupata services katika mahospitali. Ya kwanza ni ile inaitwa Primary Healthcare Fund. Primary Healthcare Fund ni fund yenye inakushikilia wewe na kila mtu. Ukienda hospitali level 2, level 3 na pale level 4, hiyo outpatient ni free, haufai kulipa chochote. Ukilazwa hospitali ndio tutaenda kwa hii fund ingine inaitwa Social Health Insurance Fund. Sasa Social Health Insurance Fund ni ile tunaita harambe. Harambe yako na mimi natoa my 2.75, wewe mfanyikazi wa serikali mwingine your 2.75. Yule mtu ako kule kwa mjengo, yeye anafanyiwa means testing, tunajua kiwango yake imefika wapi, alafu analipa kulingana na kiwango yake. Hiyo fedha yote ikiwekwa pamoja economically inatusaidia kusonga mbele. Juu hata nikitoa hiyo 2.75 haimaanishi nitagonjeka leo, lakini kuna watu wengine wengi sana watapatwa kugonjeka. Alafu pia tuko na fund ya mwisho ile inaitwa Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. Hiyo sasa inashughulikia ukipata na emergency, iwe umeanguka na bodaboda ama baiskeli ama hata gari ama hata umeteleza kwa nyumba yako, ukifika pale hospitali unatibiwa kwanza for 24 hours, unakuwa stabilized. Hakuna kutafuta your relatives ati ndio wakuja wawekelee deposit. Hapana. Wewe unatibiwa alafu tunaita watu wa boma yako kama uko sawa, hata wakifika pale labda watakuwa wanauliza huyu ndio mnatuambia ni mgonjwa. Because there is a fund serikali imeweka, na hiyo pia inatokana kwa serikali, it is free. Haifai, mtu hafai kutolea fedha. Ama ile magonjwa long term, ile tunaitanga long term chronic illnesses, ile fedha yako ya SHIF ikiisha, basi daktari anaweza kuandikia kasema huyu mgonjwa ako na ugonjwa wa long term, tuingie pale kwa emergency chronic and critical illness fund. So maneno mengi tunayafanya pale Afya House. Na hii yote ni kwa mwananchi yule wa kawaida, na pia actually wananchi wote. Lakini ukiangalia venye hii structure inafanywa, mambo mengi inasaidia yule mwananchi wa kawaida mwenye they have to decide between buying unga and going to hospital. So kuondolea hiyo maneno ya nitanunua unga ama nitaenda hospitali, na kuambia nenda hospitali, umeshalipiwa. Nunua unga yaku ya kushibisha.
Shikilia hapo Mheshimiwa Bi Mary, vuta pumzi hapo kidogo tu mpenzi mtazamaji. Ni 2:15 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki, endapo ndo kwa sasa unafungua kiwambo chako cha runinga ya KBC Channel 1. Kipindi ni Zinga Good Morning Kenya, na kama nilivyokuambia ndani ya studio ninaye katibu katika Wizara ya Afya anayeshughulikia idara ya viwango vya kitaalum, Mheshimiwa Bi Mary Muthoni, ambapo kama umeweza kumnukuu katika utangulizi wake ameweza kuzungumzia kwa kifupi kuhusiana na dhima ya Wizara ya Afya na serikali inachokifanya. Mpenzi mtazamaji, amezungumzia masuala mengi tu sana, akizungumzia swala zima lile la healthcare workforce, na vile vile pia ameweza kuzungumzia kuhusiana na huduma ambazo zinatolewa, vile vile pia mfumo wa kidijitali ambao amesema kwa sasa Wizara ya Afya ndio inashughulikia. Na utakumbuka pia jana Rais Daktari William Ruto alisema atawanunulia simu za kisasa wazee wa mitaa, angalau pia nao wafanye kazi kidijitali. Kwa hiyo huduma nyingi za serikali kwa sasa ziko kwenye kidijitali. Amezungumzia swala zima hili la wafanyikazi, amezungumzia swala la bima, amezungumzia swala la vifaa, mpenzi mtazamaji, ambapo serikali imejizatiti. Vile vile pia amezungumzia swala zima la miundo msingi, akisema kwamba serikali ikishirikiana na wadau mbalimbali wanaboresha hospitali mbalimbali katika kaunti zote 47 kote nchini. Na vile vile pia ameweza kutuwekea wazi kuhusiana na mifuko mitatu ya afya ama hazina tatu za afya. Kwa hiyo mwisho amemalizia ile na punching shot kwamba wewe pale nyumbani, ile uzito wa kuweza kuamua, je, nataka kununua chakula ama hospitali, serikali imekupungulia mzigo. Na amesema zile hospitali za level 2, 3, 4 jinsi gani ambavyo unaweza ukatibiwa pale, muhimu tu unaweza kujisajili. Lakini labda tukisonga mbele, Mheshimiwa Bi Mary Muthoni, katibu katika wizara hii ya afya, licha ya wananchi wengi kuwa na akaunti zinazotumika za SHA, kwa nini bado kuna wale wanalalamika wakifika katika hospitali za serikali za umma kuna baadhi ya pesa wanatozwa?
Venye ningesema ni ya kwamba penye tumefika na SHA, wacha tu deal na specifics. Tujue ni nani na nani. Kwa sababu pia kwa hiyo kijiji kuna mwingine anapiga makofi
kweli,
anasema nimesaidika kabisa. Sasa tunataka kujua huyu mwenye hajasaidika shida iko wapi. Anaweza akakuwa yeye mwenyewe hajakuwa registered, anaweza kuwa mwenyewe labda hajalipia hiyo shift, anaweza kuwa mwenyewe alienda referral hospital badala ya kuanzia level 2. Na hiyo ni maneno yenye inachanganya watu sana, na ndio maana niko hapa ndio niwaeleze. Ukishajiandikisha, nimesema level 2, level 3, level 4 outpatient iko free. Wewe unafaa tu kuingia kwa hospitali. Lakini ukijipeleka, ukitoka kule kwetu Kirinyaga unakuja Kenyatta na haujapewa referral, hautakuta jina yako iko hapo. Sababu hii hospitali ya juu ndio maana inaitwa referral, teaching and referral. Sababu hapo ndio wale madaktari sugu wanakaa wa kukuchinja roho, kukuchinja kichwa. Sasa wewe umetoka na homa ya kule kule Nakuru unakuja mpaka Nairobi kutibiwa homa. Unatibua homa na wale watu wanataka surgery. Unaona? Sasa sisi tunataka ukale pale chini. Utibiwe hapo. Alafu wale wamepewa rifaro either na clinical officers wameambiwa ugonjwa yao inahitaji specialized care, wanakuja hapa rifaro ndio watibiwe. Na hapo ndio tunaingiza ile inaitwa SHIF ama Social Health Insurance Fund. Ndio hata ukilazwa hospitali unaweza ukatibiwa bila kuingia kwa mfuko tena. Na ningependa kusema ya kwamba kama unaona kuna kitu haujui, pia tuko na nambari ya kupiga ile 147. Ni vizuri unapiga simu, unaulizia nafaa kufanya aje. Kujiandikisha ni bure, lakini usiende kwa cyber cafe penye mtu anafanya biashara yake, akikulipisha unasema nililipishwa. Kujiandikisha ni bure. Chukua simu yako, nenda *147# ujiandikishe, na ni bure. Hakuna mtu anafaa kukuitisha fedha. Ama uende kwa ofisi za SHA uandikishwe, ama ukipatana na community health promoter uandikishwe. Na ukijiandikisha, hiyo inaanza kufanya kazi hapo hapo. In fact, unaweza ukakuta mtoto wako ni mgonjwa, ama we mwenyewe ama rafiki yako ni mgonjwa, mkienda hospitali unaendelea kumwandikisha. By the time ufike pale atatibiwa. Sio kama NHIF ulikuwa unaambiwa ngoja kadi ipate sijui ku activate, unangoja 3 months 6 months bado unangojea.
Lakini
sasa hapo sasa unauliza hii 3 months huyu mgonjwa atakuwa wapi?
Hapo sasa
hii 3 months mgonjwa atakuwa wapi? Kwa sababu ugonjwa haingoji. Ukingojeka lazima utibiwe. Sasa ukienda ujiandikisha alafu unaambiwa ungoje, sio ni vibaya? Sisi tunasema jiandikisha kwa SHA and you benefit immediately.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, katibu ameliweka wazi, kwa sababu mheshimiwa katibu wakati mwingine hufanya kazi upande wa pili wa redio na wanapata lalama sana, SHA ifanye tumelipishwa. Lakini nadhani umeliweka wazi kwamba mtazamaji, wewe msikilizaji, inategemea na hospitali gani ambao umekwenda. Level 2, 3 and 4 amesema ni bure. Labda pengine tatizo lako wewe ni la sikio, lakini umekwenda referral hospital, unataka kutibiwa sikio. Sasa unataka likatwe hilo sikio, utasikia na nini? Kwa hiyo nadhani pia ametuambia kwamba kuna nambari ambazo unaweza ukawasiliana nazo endapo una tatizo. Kwa hiyo isiingie katika akili za watu SHA ifanyi. Ni wewe mwenyewe. Kama kuna mahali uelewi, uuliza uelewe. Sawa sawa. Tusonge mbele, Mheshimiwa Bi Mary Muthoni. Tuzungumzie kuhusiana na madeni ya awali ya NHIF, ambapo hospitali hizi za kidini, hospitali za kanisa zinasema kwamba zina affect sana kutoa huduma kwa wananchi. Je, hadi kufikia sasa madeni yako vipi ya zile iliyokuwa NHIF?
I think walikuwa wanasema. Si ati wanasema. Kwa sababu kwa saa hii hiyo madeni inaendelea kulipwa. Na kusema ya kwamba deni yoyote ilikuwa 10 million and below, hiyo walikuwa wanalipwa bila kupitishwa tashwishi yoyote. Lakini 10 million and above lazima ingefanyiwa at least a bit of audit, kuangalia kama hiyo makaratasi ilikuwa sawa, invoices ziko sawa. So hiyo ni process inaendelea.
So kiufupi kwa sasa deni la zilizokuwa hospitali ama hospitali za kibinafsi, za kanisa, za dini limemalizwa ama linaendelea kulipwa? Zinaendelea
kulipwa.
Na unahisi kwamba huu mfumo wa kuendelea kulipa katikati pengine hamtakwaruzana tena?
Hapana. Umesikia wakiongea?
Kwa hiyo ni sure bet.
Umesikia wakiongea? Kuna mtu amekuja hapa hivi karibuni? Sijaona.
Jaona?
Unless unikubushe.
Sawa tu, wakiongea nitakufuata. Afya House
utanifuata.
Na tutuzungumzie kuhusiana na swala zima hili la kujisajili kwa SHA, ambapo kuna viwango kadha wa kadha. Je, kuna wale ambao labda hawana mishahara katibu? Wakulima, wana boda boda, serikali inawazingatia vipi angalau ule mwito wenu wa afya kwa wote ni haki kila mmoja aweze kupata?
Yule mwenye serikali iko na data ya wale watu hawajiwezi.
Ndio.
Serikali iko na hiyo data katika State Department ya Social Protection. na hiyo data wale wako hapo wanalipiwa na serikali. Kwa sababu iko namna venye serikali itajua kama wewe unaweza ama hauwezi. Na ndio maana tunafanyia ile means testing. Kwa hivyo wale hawajiwezi kabisa wanalipiwa na serikali. Na pia viongozi wengine kama governors, MPs nimeona wamejitokeza. Kama nimekuwa kule Belgut juzi nikakuta MP wa pale amewalipia constituents hapo, akawalipia SHA. Nimekuta kule Bahati Mrembo Njoki amelipia SHA. Na pia governors wengine pia wamewalipia watu SHA, wale hawajiwezi kabisa. His Excellency mwenyewe amelipia indigents, wanaitwa indigents SHA. So venye imekuwa ni kwamba yule mwenye hawezi akapata kabisa 300 analipiwa na serikali. That is how it is supposed to be, and it is happening. Na ukifanywa means testing itatuletea ya kwamba unafaa kulipa pesa ngapi. Hata kama ni huyo bodaboda ako na kiwango yake, akifanywa tu means testing itajulikana unafaa kulipa fedha ngapi. Ndio maana unaona kuna wengine wanalipa 300, wengine 500, wengine 600. Mimi mwenyewe nalipa 2.75 of my salary, which now gets to almost 30,000. Because ilikuwa vibaya sana, yule mtu mshahara yake ni 2,000,000 kwa mwezi, analipa 500 ama 1,700, na yule mama mboga pale chini pia analipa 1,700 ama 500. Sasa usawa iko wapi? So SHA imekuja kulete equality. Ndio mimi mwenyewe, hata mamangu akiwa mbali ama wewe bradhako akiwa mbali, hiyo fedha tukiweka pamoja inatumika kwa sisi wote. Zile services unaweza pata ukiwa pale kwa village, pia ni services zenye unaweza pata tukiwa hapa kwa hapa Nairobi.
Mheshimiwa Mary Muthoni, nimekusikia ukitaja wabunge, magavana, rais wamesaidia. Kile sija kusikia ukisema mimi PS kule Kirinyaga pia nimelipia.
Unajua sasa mimi ndio executor. Mimi ndio executor na champion the same. Of course I have.
I know it's on
niko na wale wananitegemea pia na wasaidia. Lakini tuna champion kila mtu, wale wako pale nje, ni vizuri tushikane pamoja. Siwezi nikakosa wale pia ninalipia.
Sijali katibu Rashid wanakuanga hivyo anachokora kidogo.
Hapana, hiyo ni muhimu. Hiyo ni muhimu kwa sababu nataka kuchangamsha, hata kama ni wewe kule yule yako pale nyumbani na unaona ya kweli aswa hawezi lipia yeye.
Kweli. Na kabla kwenda kwenye mapumziko na dakika kama 2 hivi tupumzike alafu turudi, lakini kabla kupumzika, Mheshimiwa Mary, ongezeko la wagonjwa wale wa saratani, kisukari na figo nchini limeongezeka sana. Je, labda SHA inagharamia kikamilifu huduma zao kama vile chemotherapy, radiotherapy, dialysis bila wagonjwa hawa kuingia kwenye mifuko yao kuongeza pesa zaidi?
We have improved NHIF kutoka penye ilikuwa. It is an improvement in every aspect, whether it is in maternity or in chronic illnesses. Ukiangalia, wacha tuongee mambo ya saratani. Ugonjwa ya saratani kitambo ilikuwa tulipoanza tusha ilikuwa 550,000. Pia tukasikia watu wananungunika sana. Unaenda chemotherapy alafu sessions zako hazifiki. Saa hii imeongezewa mpaka 880. Ndio kila mtu akienda pale unaweza ukaenda sessions zako zikaisha. Ile kitu ingine tumefanya is to have MOUs na wale manufacturers wenye wanauza zile dawa zinatumika, ama wale wanauza zile dawa zinatumika kama Roche. Tukapata ile dawa yao ilikuwa inatoka 120,000 kitambo. Saa hii wametupunguzia mpaka imekuja 40,000. Especially kwa wale wa mama wako na breast cancer. Na hiyo inawezesha sasa hata mahospitali wanaweza wakapatia mtu zile sessions zenye zinatakikana. So those are just but a few things that we are doing to ensure that there is quality and there is also quantity in terms of the services that we are delivering. Na hatungependa mtu yoyote arudi nyumbani akisema mimi sijatibiwa. Unless, na ndio maana ninakwambia, ukisikia yule amesema niko na shida, basi that is a special case and we need to treat it. Tunafaa kuitreat kama a specific issue, ndio itatue. Tusikuje tukageneralize kila kitu. Yes. Na pia labda sio kitu inashughulikia kila mtu ama inashika kila mtu. No. Ni kama tu venye tulianza na watu wengine wanaanza kusema, na unajua saa zingine wale watu wabaya huko nje wanasema ushaifanye, alafu wananchi wanachukulia vile. Ukiuliza mtu ushaienda kwa hospitali, anakuambia nilisikia. So let us treat cases specifically ndio tuweze kusaidia wananchi.
Shikilia hapo mheshimiwa, kumradhi, tupate tu tangazo moja la biashara alafu narudi kwako tumalize hapo. Mtazamaji, ni 2:30 saa za Afrika Mashariki. Unayoitazama si nyingine bali ni runinga yako ya kitaifa KBC Channel 1, mwendani wako wa kispoti, na vile vile unasikiliza KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Leo hii tunajadili swala zima la afya, na ndani ya studio tuko naye katibu katika Wizara ya Afya Mheshimiwa Bi Mary Muthoni, ambapo tunazungumzia masuala kadha wa kadha kuhusiana na afya. Nenda kwenye ukurasa wetu wa Facebook kama una swali lolote ungependa kuuliza, weka pale na tutalisoma. Lakini kwa sasa tupate mapumziko mafupi, angalau tukipata maji ya tama la sharubeti. Kini hapa ndani hakuna maji ya tama la sharubeti. Tunarudi. Gumzo.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026. Welcome to Morocco! Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned Queens of African Football? Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action unraveling on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Tunatambulika kwa mandhari yetu ya kuvutia,
tamaduni zetu, ukarimu wetu, vyakula vyetu, uchapakazi,
na pia kwa sauti tofauti za watangazaji wetu waliobobea.
Libengo liko hapa aka upcoming sponsor. Bila shaka hapa ni kama PDG, ma deep state, vile vile cartels.
Tunaenzi talanta za pwani, tunakuza talanta za hapa kwetu nyumbani.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tuko mjengoni kama kawa na wanangu wengine wawili.
Usikose kutegea 103.1 Pwani FM, station ambayo itakupa fursa ya kupata uhondo kamili wa pwani na kuleta Wakenya pamoja.
Pwani FM, tafrija ya kipwani.
dakika zimekatika baada ya saa 2. Karibu tena ndani ya KBC Channel 1 TV. Kipindi ni Good Morning Kenya, na upande wa KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya, kipindi hewani ni Zinga studioni, tukiwa naye Mheshimiwa Mary Mudhoni, katibu katika Wizara ya Afya, ambapo tunazungumzia mambo mbalimbali ya afya. Na kama kawaida studioni niite jeshi la mtu mmoja. Jina langu naitwa Rashid Momkondo, na kabla kwenda kwenye mapumziko, Mheshimiwa Mary, kuna nukta ulikuwa unaimalizia alafu tusonge mbele. Ulikuwa tunazungumzia, umetuelezea kuhusiana na vile mmeboresha NHIF kwa wale wagonjwa saratani kutoka kiwango cha 500,000 hadi 800,000. Umezungumzia kuhusiana na ile mikataba ambayo mmeingia nayo katika wale watengenezaji wa dawa ambao wapunguzia kutoka 100,000, 20,000, 40,000. Sasa kuna nukta ulikuwa unaimalizia alafu ndo tusonge mbele.
Najua kuna mtu anaweza akauliza kwa nini watu wa hapa chini wanaambiwa walipe mwaka mzima badala ya kulipa mwezi venye walikuwa wanalipa NHIF. Lakini ningependa kuambia kwamba kitu ya kwanza, ukipatwa na ugonjwa leo, tuseme mtu wa bodaboda, kazi yake ni ya kubeba watu kutoka hapa na pale, umefika pale Konja Mosque, alafu labda umegongwa na basi, umevunjika mguu na umelipa mwezi mmoja, ukapelekwa hospitali, ukakaa pale hospitali mwaka mzima, God forbid, na ulikuwa umelipa mwezi mmoja. Hiyo inamaanisha 11 months utapatiwa bill ulipe. Na labda ni bill kubwa kabisa ya mamilioni ya fedha. Sasa vile serikali inakwambia ni kwamba kuna lipa sha pole pole. Hiyo mwaka mzima, hiyo 3,600, unaweza ukalipa pole pole, na utalipiwa hiyo fedha na serikali. Itakulipia, alafu utasema mimi nitakuwa ninalipa kwa siku, kwa wiki ama kwa mwezi. So that option is still there, ya kulipa mwezi.
Hebu regelete tena hiyo, msikilizaji asikie. Hii alipa pole pole sha. Hebu regelete tena.
Inaitwa lipa sha pole pole. Kama calculation yako labda unafaa kulipa 300 per month. Times 12 is 3,600. So badala ya kulipa hiyo 300, unalipiwa 3,600 yote ya mwaka. Ndio ukienda hospitali hakuna ile break ati nimekaa mwezi 2 na nilikuwa nimelipa mwezi mmoja. Utatibiwa within that year. Lakini we mwenyewe useme nitakuwa ninalipa kwa siku ama kwa wiki ama kwa mwezi, ama nitaweza kulipa yote. So ukirudi pale kwa SHA portal, iko na hiyo nafasi ya lipa sha pole pole. Na if you divide 3,600 by 12, itakupatia bado 300 per month. If you divide 300 by 30 days, hiyo ni 10 bob per day. Unajua saa zingine hata Mungu anakuangalia, anasema kwa nini unadanganya?
Na kwa nini unalalamika?
Na umepewa hizi options zote. So the Bible says my people shall perish for lack of knowledge. Sasa hiyo knowledge ndio niko hapa kuwapea, ndio wajue wanaweza wakalipa kimwezi, lakini utakuwa umelipiwa, na hiyo si loan. Hiyo ni pesa umepewa.
So hakuna mambo na interest.
Hakuna mambo na interest hata kidogo. Hiyo si Hustler Fund. Inaweza kuwa imeconnectiwa kwa app ya Hustler Fund, lakini sio Hustler Fund. Hiyo si loan. Haina interest hata kidogo. Wewe chukua ile fedha, lipa shift yako, alafu utasema hapo mimi nitakuwa napata 10 bob per day, sababu mapato yangu ni 50 bob per day. So 10 bob yangu moja nitakuwa ninapeana kwa SHA, alafu mimi ninabaki na 40 shillings. Ama mapato yangu ni 200 shillings, 100 nitakuwa ninapeana pale, alafu hii ingine ninabaki nayo kulingana na ile fedha umeambiwa imeonekana unafaa kulipa.
Okay. Nadhani kuna swali hapa liliulizwa, lakini nadhani BPS umelijibu, kwa sababu huyu bwana aliuliza swali. Mama PS, we appreciate your work, but registration is not enough. Monthly payment is a problem. Why do the ministry give unemployed people flat rate of 300 shillings for us to pay monthly, not only when you are sick? My humble request. Lakini nadhani
nimejibu.
Bas, kulingana na mfumo huu wa lipa sha pole pole. Na mtu akitaka kulipa sha pole pole anafanya nini kwa faida ya wale ambao hawajui? Labda
pale tu kwa registration iko na option ya lipa sha pole pole.
Alright, tukisonga mbele, serikali hadi kufikia sasa labda imeweka mikakati gani kutahadharisha Wakenya, kuwahamasisha dhidi ya ugonjwa hatari wa Ebola?
Kwa sasa hatuna mtu yoyote amepatikana ama tumeconfirm ako na ugonjwa wa Ebola katika nchi ya Kenya. Na tumefurahia kwa sababu pia Uganda wamesema wameweza kuangamiza ugonjwa wa Ebola pale kwao, and you know they are our neighbors. Na unajua pathogens hazina boundaries. Kama iko Uganda ni kama iko karibu na sisi. Pale Congo bado iko cases ziko pale, so changamoto kidogo pale. Lakini hapa Kenya hatuna kabisa na hatujakuwa na hata mtu mmoja. Yes, tumekuwa na suspected cases. Na suspected case haimaanishi eti utakuwa confirmed ama we ni mgonjwa. Ni vile tu signs and symptoms zinakaribiana labda na ile ugonjwa wa Ebola. Tumeweza kuweka mikakati mingi pale kwa border. Surveillance inaendelea kama kawaida. Kila siku, kila lichalo tunaendelea ku tighten. Tumeendelea kufanya screening at the ports of entry. Ukienda JKA sahi kuna mpaka digitized self screening. Ukifika pale una scan na simu yako, unajibu ile maswali iko pale kwa simu. Alafu kwa system tukiona venye umejibu tunaweza tukakusimamisha tukakwambia bana, wacha tukuangalie kidogo hivyo. Pia wafanyikazi tunaendelea kuwafundisha, tunaendelea kuwa train, tunaendelea kuongezea. Ile kikosi ilienda West Africa kupambana na hali ya Ebola pale West Africa in 2014. Kutoka 2014 mpaka around 2016. Kwa hivyo tuko na very experienced healthcare workers here in the country wenye wanaweza pambana na hiyo ugonjwa hata kwa sasa. Na pia ile mandege inakuja hapa Kenya, ile wastewater kutoka kwa ndege, tunaendelea kuangalia kwa labs mambo ya pathogens ndio tujue ile patterns ya the likely diseases inaweza ikaja hapa Kenya. Na hiyo inatusaidia sana kwa sababu wale watu wa nje tukiweza kuangalia tunaweza tukajua iko mtu alikuwa na cholera, iko mtu alikuwa na COVID, hata Ebola, Mpox na magonjwa mengine mengi. Kwa hivyo tuko tayari. Pia coordination ya county government na national government ndio tupate county government wameactivate the structures zile zilikuwa. Remember, health ni devolved. Health ni kwa haki ama by constitution inafaa kuwa pale kwa county. Kwa hivyo kuendelea kuwa guide na kushirikiana ndio tuweze kuona ya kwamba ile maneno ama zile structures zinafaa kuwa ziko up and running. Starting with the quarantine centers or isolation centers, na pia the structure in terms of command, you know, emergency operation centers. So tumeshikilia hiyo doria kabisa, sababu hatuwezi tukapenda hapa Kenya tukuwe na Ebola. Ebola is not a good disease. Hakuna ugonjwa mzuri, lakini Ebola is a deadly disease.
Shikilia hapo katibu 42 dakika baada ya saa 2 katika muda wa dakika chache. Msikilizaji, nitakuwa narudi kwako upige simu kwenda kwenye nambari 07176699 uulize swali, na vile vile unaweza kutumia nambari yetu ya WhatsApp kuuliza swali. Nambari yetu ya WhatsApp ni 070303 212. Una swali lolote unaweza ukalirusha kwenye nambari yetu ya WhatsApp msikilizaji, mtazamaji 070303 212, ama kutupigia simu moja kwa moja hewani 07176699 na uulize swali lako kutoka hapo mpenzi msikilizaji. Lakini kabla kuruka hapo, nirudi tena kwako Mheshimiwa Bi Mary Muthoni. Kuna dawa ambazo si za viwango zinapatikana pamoja na kliniki ambazo hazijasajiliwa, zinahatarisha maisha ya wananchi. Je, wizara yako ya afya hadi kufikia sasa kushirikiana na taasisi nyingine, ni hatua gani ambazo mmeweza kuchukua kusafisha uchafu huu?
Pharmacy and Poisons Board ni agency katika wizara ya afya, na wamechukulia hiyo mambo ya madawa ile mbaya iko huku kwa chemist.
Yes.
And we are doing a total cleanup. In fact, ile msako inaendelea hata saa hii. Ukisikia tu kumetulia hivi, ni msako kubwa sana. And wanaendelea kufunga chemists zenye hazifai kuwa zinauza madawa, na kuangalia pia zile zinapelekwa kwa mahospitali, ndio tuweze kuyaondoa kabisa katika hii nchi. Pia katika digitization ya healthcare system, tumefanya ile kitu inaitwa track and tracing. Tutakuwa tunajua dawa kutoka the manufacturer ni dawa gani, ikifika kwa nchi imeingia namna gani, ikienda kwa hospitali kutoka KEMSA imeenda namna gani, na imepewa patient mgani. Hiyo ndio inaitwa track and trace. Hiyo dawa ikiharibikia mgonjwa, tunaweza tukatrack back ilitoka wapi, kama ni halali na kama ilifaa kuwa ipatiwe hiyo mgonjwa. Ndio tujue kama ni daktari alikosea ama ni manufacturer amekosea. Because kwa halali lazima ile madawa inapatiwa wananchi iwe shwari kabisa. That is why tumeweza kufanya track and trace. So Pharmacy and Poisons Board is on top of the game. Na hata ukiangalia kwa page yao, iko maneno mingi sana inaendelea. Unakuta itakuwa kelele kidogo, lakini tutaweza. Hiyo kelele ni kwa sababu ya change.
Bila shaka. Naam, lakini kwa sasa naomba uvae hizi kidogo tusikilize simu 2-3 alafu tusonge mbele. Bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni saa 3 kasorobo saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Kama nilivyokuambia, una swali lolote kuhusiana na yale ambayo tumezungumza mengi tu sana hapa na katibu katika muda wa dakika 40 zilizopita, lakini una swali lolote, unataka any clarification, katibu yuko hapa ndani, amesema yeye ni mjumbe, ametumwa kuja kutupatia ujumbe. Kwa hiyo kama una tashwishi, nambari zangu za simu ni 0700176699, na vile vile pia nimekuambia unaweza kunitumia maswali kwenye WhatsApp yangu mpenzi mtazamaji. Nambari yangu ya simu ni 0707302212. Rebecca upande wa pili, kama kuna simu naomba tafadhali.
Hello, na Mkondo?
Yes, nani mwenzetu?
Salimia madam.
Haya, madam
amesalimika.
Alafu watu wengine wanaitwa Brado ya Imana kutoka Kinyani.
Yes, Brandon.
Swali langu, madam, wale watu walikuwa NHIF mliwafuta ama wanaendelea na kazi? Alafu la pili, kuna ukora fulani inaenda kwa hospitali, unaenda ukiwa na malaria unapimwa kipimo karibu 20. Typhoid, malaria, nini ngwana kwa nauliza nini, utanijibu madam?
Asante Brando.
Na Brandon anajua ngaji yako na malaria.
Kidogo tuchukue simu nyingine.
Brandon anajua ngaji yako.
Hello Radio Taifa.
Habari.
Mzuri sana.
Mkondo.
Naam.
Naitwa Robert kutoka mlima wa Titrek.
Karibu sana Robert.
Hapa ni Nandi County. Sasa ningependa kuuliza mjini, mimi ni mlemavu, yani nimeumia uti wa mgongo.
Ndio.
nikapona, lakini bado natumia wheelchair. Sasa juzi nimeenda hospitali kwa mgonjwa kidogo hapa tu Nandi. Nikienda nikafanyia vipimo bwana, nikapatikana malaria, lakini hakuna dawa. Niliambiwa ndo ninunue dawa kwa chemist.
Okay, ni hospitali gani ya serikali?
Hello, KBC.
Alright, hello Radio Taifa.
Unanipata vizuri?
Naam.
Salimia madam.
Mesalimika kabisa.
Asante sana mheshimiwa. Mimi naitwa Hassan Ukichi kutoka Ejinja Koyonzo Matungu Mumias.
Hassan,
nimepata maelezo yote kutoka kwako. Jambo lenye ninakwambia tu lenye hata kwa Mungu sidanganyi, SHA inafanya kwa matajiri, lakini masikini tumesumbukana, tunatibiwa kwa hospitali za private. SHA inafanya kwa matajiri, lakini sisi watu wa chini, watu masikini, siwezi nikakudanganya mbele ya Mungu ati SHA inatufanyia kazi. Asante sana kandurio mno.
Okay, shikilia tu hapo.
Habari asubuhi.
Nzuri sana.
Asalamu hiyo mwanadada mweupe huyo, anaongea vizuri.
Ala.
Nimesalimika sana. Swali ndio hili. Nimeshuhudia hizi hospitali zote madaktari wamegoma. Ukienda kwa hospitali hakuna huduma, no services. Shida gani imewafanya wamegoma, na mbona hawezi kuharakisha warudi kazini ili waweze kutibu watu?
Kaunti gani?
Hizi sana dispensary.
Kaunti gani?
Ongege anauliza kaunti gani? Unatoka kaunti gani?
Na watoka kaunti ya Vihiga.
Asante, shikilia hapo tosha kwa upande wa simu kwa sababu ya muda. Tosha hapo nisome jumbe 2-3. Hon Mary Mudhoni, please kindly help us push for our arrears of 10 months from our county government. Yours, CHPS Bomet County Clement Siele. Mwingine anasema anaitwa James Kama. Mtu amelipia mwaka mzima na ushaanza mwaka wa pili na uhitaji kutumia SHA. Itakusaidia ama lazima ulipie tena mwaka mwingine ikuwe active? Anasema naitwa James Kama. Kama mtu amelipia mwaka mzima na ashaanza mwaka mwingine wa pili na uhitaji kutumia SHA, itakusaidia ama lazima ulipe tena mwaka mzima ndio ikuwe active?
Malipo kwa SHA ni kwa mwaka. Kila mwaka. Ni kama tu ile gari iko kwa barabara.
Ndio.
Kila siku lazima ilipiwe, kila mwaka lazima ilipiwe insurance.
Okay.
Nimesikia maswali mingi. I wish ningejua hii hospitali ya Nandi ni gani. Hii yenye ya hakuna dawa. Lakini ningependa kusema ile tumefanya mambo ya ndio tuweze kumaliza hii mambo ya hakuna dawa. Kwanza KEMSA refill madawa. Counties wakitaka dawa yoyote wanaweza wakapata pale KEMSA. Na pia ningependa wananchi wajue ni kina nani wanarun hizo hospitali.
Tunaweza zitoa sasa.
Okay. Ningependa wananchi wajue ni kina nani wanarun zile hospitali zao. Hospitali inakuwa run by a committee. Ile committee pale ndio wanapeangwa ile fedha ya hiyo hospitali to budget for. Na wanafaa kubudgetia madawa, madaktari, infrastructure, kila kitu. Sasa hizo committee pia zinakuwa na representative ya community. Sasa nyinyi ndio wenye ile hospitali. Kwa nini mnawachilia hospitali yenu? Mimi nataka kuchangamsha wananchi. Waende, they need to take back their hospitals. They need to take back they need to go back and know how their hospitals are run. Ndio tuache hii maneno ya hakuna dawa. Pesa ikitoka SHA, hospitali ndogo siku hizi kwa sababu ya reimbursement ya SHA inapata mpaka as much as 2 million shillings. 2 million shillings kwa hospitali ile ya level 2. Hiyo ni fedha inaweza ikawapeleka mpaka 3 or so months. So wananchi tujue haki yetu, tujue hizi hospitali ni sisi kwa law, kwa sheria ni sisi tunafaa kuwa tunajua. Huyu Hassan make statement, a very general statement. SHA inafanya kwa matajiri. Mimi ningependa kusikia more kutoka kwake ndio nijue inafanya kwa matajiri aje na kwa maskini haifanyi. Kwa sababu ukijiandikisha kwa SHA unafaa kwenda kwa hospitali na unatibiwa. Lakini kama hiyo hospitali haikutibu, tunafaa kujua ni hospitali gani hiyo. Na ndio maana ninasema let's go to specific. Hizi mahospitali zenye bado zina charge watu, tunafaa kujua ni gani. Ndio tupeleke our KMPDC huko waende wafanyiwe inspection. Kama ni kufunga, tufunge. Otherwise we cannot continue tukiona hospitali bado zikifanyia watu vibaya. Iko ingine nimeona wafanyikazi labda hii nitafuatilia na hiyo county sababu haijafika kwangu. No, Vihiga county. Haijafika kwangu bado. Kuna wafanyikazi wamegoma, hiyo barua sijaona imefika kwangu, lakini nitafuatilia. Najua iko county mingi there is a lot of dissatisfaction. Na we need to sit down and see how to handle all that with the counties, with the specific counties. Kwa sababu hii si national, sio mgomo ya national, ni specific counties, na inaweza kuwa ni specific issues wanafuatilia. Inaweza kuwa ni mambo ya retention, mambo ya promotion, mambo ya salary increment, depending on which county. Sasa Vihiga sijui kwa nini wamegoma, tafuatilia nione. Bomet nitafuatilia pia. CHPs hiyo mshahara yao ama hiyo stipend yao imecheleweshwa. Tutaongea na governor tuone imefika namna gani.
Kwa sababu ya muda na maswali ni mengi, labda tutakwenda mbio. Kuna bwana mmoja alisema amekuuliza wale wafanyikazi wa NHIF mliwafuta ama mliadopt huko, alafu akasema kuna ukora wa vipimo. Anaitwa Prado kutoka Shinyalo. Ameenda hospitali yeye anajijua na malaria lakini anafanywa test karibu 20. Je, huu ni ukora ambao unafanyika labda madam katika? Kwanza
kabisa wafanyikazi wa NHIF kuna mtu alifutwa kazi. Wale wenye hawako absorbed kwa SHA wamekuwa distributed kwa other ministries. Ndio. Kwa ministries zingine, so they are still civil servants. Sasa hiyo ukora ya vipimo hiyo lazima atuambie kwa sababu alijuaje kuna malaria. Na wananchi tuache kuwa madaktari sisi wote, kila mtu afanye kazi yake. Kwa sababu mimi nimeona mtu anaenda anasema ile mgongo yangu inaniuma. Unashangaa mgongo yako kiaje? Unaenda kwa chemist unanunua Augmentin, unanunua antibiotic, alafu siku kadhaa zinapita unakuta hiyo dawa haikufanyii tena. Unaenda kupimwa vizuri unapatikana uko na kansa. Sasa tuache kukua madaktari sisi wote. Iko wale watu walienda shule miaka mingi sana kufundishwa tu hiyo kukuangalia mwili na wakwambie ugonjwa wako ni gani. Pia watu wa lab wamesomeshwa kujua hiyo kipimo, hiyo sample imeenda kwao, ikitokea namna hii hiyo chemistry ni ugonjwa gani, ama wata advise daktari ni nini imepatikana ndio akwambia ni ugonjwa gani imepatikana. So mimi ningewasihi tu daktari akikuuliza upimwe, ile mbaya ni ile wanaambia mtu nenda ukapimwe hapo nje. Kwa sababu venye ninajua ukiingia kwa triage uende kipimo na utoke hapo, lazima upimiwe pale ndani na utoke na dawa. Sababu hiyo fedha inakuwa inarudishwa tena na SHA ukishatibiwa. Madam, muda wetu umeenda na maswala nafikiria tunaanza tu. Nilijua tu na maswala ni mengi na sitaki, unajua wewe ni afisa wa serikali. KBC ni mojawapo wa shirika ambalo sera za serikali zinafaa kuzungumzwa. So ndo maana sitaki kuinterject, nataka tu toe, lakini nahofia muda wangu ni mchache. Lakini tukimalizia tu, kuna mmoja hapa anaitwa
Jina hakuweka lakini amesema hivi, ni ujumbe wa kushukuru.
Yes.
Anasema at least yesterday SHA paid 1.3 million shillings and I had only paid 7,200 year 2 years. Aki, I'm grateful. Asanteni sana. Nilitaka nimwambie PS through a phone call lakini sikubahatika kupiga. Usijali, kuna pia na kesho. Swali langu la mwisho tu Bi Mary ndio
tunaongea sahihi. Nimesikia.
Umesikia? Anasema tuangazie swala la mwisho. Hii ni wiki ya unyonyeshaji duniani.
Yes.
Labda Madam PS, mikakati gani serikali imeweka kusaidia hasa wale wa mama wanaonyonyesha angalau mtu aweze kunyonyesha kwa miezi 6? Na naofia nitakupatia tu dakika moja kwa hiyo sababu ya time.
You know, over the past 2 decades tumekuwa na very remarkable progress na hiyo maneno ya breastfeeding. Ukiangalia exclusive breastfeeding in the year, it has increased from 13% in 2003 to about 60% in 2022-2023. Kwa hivyo tumeongezea. Wamama wale walikuwa wana breastfeed kitambo, labda walikuwa na kazi nyingi sana, lakini pia saa hii wamama wanachangamka. Lakini unaona kuna hiyo 40% bado imebaki. Ya wale wamama hawa breastfeed, labda mama amekufa, labda mama wako kazini, labda mambo mengi ya ugonjwa. Na child stunting has declined from 26% in 2014 to approximately 18% hivi karibuni tu. So pia tume reduce mambo ya child mortality from 115 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2003 to about just 41 hivi karibuni. So hiyo inaonyesha kuna progress yenye inaendelea, na hizi achievements they are driven by strong government leadership, strong policies, legislation, implementation of county governments, investment in primary healthcare pale chini, na pia ndio umeona tuko na community health promoters. Sababu hawa community health promoters ndio tumewafundisha waende manyumbani wakifundisha wale wamama wajawazito na pia wale wamepata watoto namna ya venye wanaweza wakaendelea.
Mary, I'm sorry. Nitabidi tu tuache. Muda umetupa kisogo.
Hiyo muda imeisha.
Tupate taarifa ya habari. Lakini naomba kama tuta-arrange tena tuje
sawa. Asante sana, lakini tuambie Wakenya serikali inawapenda sana.
Asante.
Tuendelee kufuatilia mambo ya serikali na kujua namna gani, ni services gani serikali inapeana ndio tu benefit sisi wote.
Moja anasema nikimalizia, SHA is working and I'm a witness here. There is this guy who complained of hakuna dawa Nandi. Kindly tell us which hospital. I'm from Nandi and I can confirm dawa ziko. Nowadays KEMSA deliver directed to facilitate. My name is Robert Misoi. Madam PS, you are doing a great work. Keep it up. Mtazamaji, kila kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Swala la afya hatuwezi lizungumza kwa muda wa saa moja. Asanteni sana wapige picha wangu wote hapa. Siwezi kuwataja majina yenu nyote kwa sababu ya muda. Unyote mliofanikisha kipindi hiki, asante sana. Bi Katibu, na tukikuita uje tena. Mimi nilisikia tu Katibu tangu serikali ilipoingia anakuja mpaka leo serikali inataka kuenda na. Kwa hiyo ukikuja
sasa nitakwenda kuja. Asante sana.
Asante. Mimi naitwa Rashid Mumkondo. Endelea kusikiliza KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya na kutazama runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026. Welcome to Morocco! Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. who will be crowned Queens of African Football. Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action and rally on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Back wearing number 4, who played it out wide. Bendris. A hero. Jureko. In behind. Now, can they get the shot away? Surely they can. They do. And it's turned around the post by Ungazi to deny Terry, who's the Kenyan who's come closest to scoring this tournament. And she was unlucky there again. Well, she knew where she wanted to put it. She just didn't get.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. Right now we get into Women at the Forefront, which is our segment every Wednesday morning right here on the show. And today our concentration will be on women powering African theatre. That is what we'll be looking into. And I'm more than pleased to be joined by the founder and executive producer, Cousins Entertainment. Her name is Kalsin Anyango. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then we also have an actress by the name Ivana Angel Owor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you ladies on the show this morning. Let's talk matters theatre and just how that looks like right now in the country and specifically for a woman. So I want to first begin by just us getting to know more about you and where your love for theatre began. So where did your love for theatre begin? I'll start with you, Kalsi.
All right, thank you for that. My love for theatre began way back as a little girl, and I found myself doing, you know, when you go back to school, there is drama festivals and all that, so I found myself soloing and all that. Then I think from the beginning, first I wanted to be a musician.
Okay.
I had set that straight. I wanted to be a musician. Then when I got to high school, I got to learn that, oh, there is something, acting is theatre, so there is a course that is called theatre arts, and I was like, now this is what I want to do. Yeah, so I went to university, and that is what I did, theatre arts and film. Okay. And that has been my journey, right from primary, high school, university, and up to now. Like, I've never thought about any other career.
That has always been you.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what drew you to theatre, Ivana?
For me, I've always had an affinity towards music ever since I was young. I also loved the idea of storytelling, as I used to read a lot of books. But you know, as we grow older, we also get like exposed to media, and you get to learn of other forms of storytelling, such as film and play and theatre. And you know, we also consume like cartoon programs in which you see musicals, you see people dancing, you see, so then you kind of get inspired. And as a person who loved music, of course, I tended to participate in music-related things in school, and you know, part of that was also contributing to theatre. So then the more and more I started to you know, kind of understand how theatre works from the productions that happen at school, and you know, also my involvement in the choir and the orchestra, I started having a kind of love towards it. I was like, I really enjoyed the entire idea of a live performance, a play, and how, you know, like people and humans use their own emotions, facial expressions, etc., to really bring out a story. And so from then on, I tried to involve myself as much as I could in school productions, and now I'm here.
Yeah, now you're here. You got to experience your first theatre performance. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that. Your first professional one, because you've been doing theatre, yes, but now you did a professional, you appeared on stage professionally. We'll get into that. But before we do that, there has, maybe for someone who's watching and does not understand the difference between theatre and film, how would you differentiate the two?
All right. The difference between theatre and film, it comes in different dynamics. For example, the performance itself. If we talk about theatre, then we are looking at the exaggerated body movements and communication and all that. So even you look at the voice, I have to project louder, but now for film, we have to act as if we are conversing like right now. So I don't really have to project it to a larger audience and all that. Another difference is for theatre, you get to watch it at that moment. Yeah, for film, we can do it this year and air it even 2 years later.
That's true.
Yeah, for theatre, it is, if it is next month, it is next month, and that is when it is done. It doesn't have a lot, it doesn't have any cut. If you mess, you mess.
If you mess, you mess.
Yes.
And that's the thing with theatre. There's a live audience. You know, with film, we watch it after. So it's gone through post-production and everything is perfect. But now, when it comes to film, you have an audience that is looking at you. Yes, you've rehearsed time and time again, but now you're on the stage, it's just you, and then now there's the audience. For a first-time professional performance, how would you say that experience was like for you, just getting to experience, you know, this live audience as you do your thing?
At the moment, the play is still in production and is to be put out on the 29th of August.
Okay, so you've not yet.
Yes,
okay.
I haven't yet experienced a live stage. Of course, as a first-timer, I am a bit nervous because, you know, it's quite a lot of people. And of course, it's also my first professional, not just in school. But then I'm also excited and really grateful for this opportunity because, you know, when you work towards something, you want to see it like be performed spectacularly. Like you want to see it come to life on stage, and I'm really, really excited and grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah. What would you say captures the audience from the start? You know, speaking from, you know, a producer's point of view, a director's point of view, because you're also a director, right? So what would you say captures the audience from the start?
From the start, I mean, just even the title of whatever you choose as the title of your play should communicate enough without even people having to see it. So from the word go, if you hear there is a play, Exodus, someone should want to ask, like, Exodus, the Bible, or what? Yes. So you build that interest from the title itself. Then now people will want to know more about it. Then now again, now you go through via trailers, what. So now you keep building from that. But from the beginning, the poster and the title is what attracts your audience to want to know more about it. Yeah.
So even before the theatrics on stage, from inception, you need to have already thought about, you know, how I'm going to capture this audience. And you begin by just the title of it and how you you go about even, I'd say, marketing or promoting the show before then.
Yeah.
All right, and on stage, is there something particular about the actors that makes, makes it stand out?
Yeah, for sure. Mostly, now this is what I believe. Things like the set, if you give the visuals of what you've created on stage, that should communicate, it should create that interest without even the actor still coming on stage. Because you see, the actor is coming to give you now the voice, the body and all that. But what you create like the set, if the audience comes and they see that, so this is a traditional setting.
Yeah.
Now that should build interest without even the actor coming on stage yet. Now, when the actor comes, I mean, there are a lot of things that will communicate without even the voice. Things like costumes and all that, like how you've dressed them, can build that interest without them having to speak fast. But I know for sure when you come and see it and how it has been set will make someone be like, okay, let me see the next person that is coming on stage, what are they going to say? Yeah.
All right. So Exodus is the show that we'll be showing. Tell me a bit about Exodus before I get to hear Ivana's role in this play.
Exodus. Exodus is a very interesting and very intense play. We are going way, way, way back when we had fights with the colonialists or the whites people, and it is in Luo setting. So this play, it tackles betrayals of how were we defeated? We are asking ourselves, like, how are we defeated? Like, fine, there was rifles and all that, but we were a community. So how did we find ourselves on the losing side? So we are tackling such kind of things where we found us being against each other. Those were our flaws, and just getting to understand, like, so there is a change because we have plot twists in them, in that no one is seeing, like, so at the end of it we have someone who is taking over, who is not who we thought about. So it is more of how also women came through.
And the role they played.
Yes, in the role that they played. Now, it was not just all about cooking and taking care of children. There was more contribution to how we ended up having that independence, even if we had to fight against men. Yeah. So that is, it's more of...
it's a journey.
It's a journey. And we have all that journey of music, dance, and all that, and how children were affected also. So you as a woman, you sit there and you see your husband being killed, and you see your children being mistreated. So what role do you take in that to ensure that they don't experience whatever you've experienced?
I love that. I love that. And it's the fact that we get to tell our own stories in our own way. I love that. And now, Ivana, what role do you get to play on Exodus? And maybe just how are you preparing yourself into that role?
I play the role of Salarmina, who is the wife to the chief warrior and the right-hand man to the king. Now, in preparation for this role, there is also understanding the character. You know, before you bring the character live on stage, you have to have an understanding of how this character would behave, why they say what they say, and why they do the things they do in the way that they do. So I feel like it is important to understand your character before you begin. And then, of course, there's also the memorization of the lines, how to deliver them properly, understanding your relationship with the rest of your castmates as well, and how you're going to show the relationship and present yourself in a way in which enhances the story as it goes along. Of course, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, there's rehearsals, there's dancing, there's memorizations, but you know, all of it just comes together on stage. And as you prepare for it, you just keep on telling yourself, you know, to be ready to show this character that you've been working very hard on stage.
Now, you know, while preparing for a show, or even when you already have a character, sometimes you maybe maybe not even sometimes, most times or all the times, you need to get into that character totally, completely. So for you as an actor, when do you get to de-roll from the character? Do you wait until the show is already done and dusted? You've shown the number of days that you're supposed to show, and you know this one is dusted, you know, or do you keep de-rolling and coming back to the role? Keep de-rolling, coming back to the role?
I'd say I de-roll and then come back to the role, because you know, when you put on a performance, you embody certain characteristics that may not be your own. So then I feel like even though it is important to make sure that you display the character to its fullest potential, you also have to be careful you don't absorb yourself in the character to the point in which you also forget that you're an individual, a singular person. So then when it is time to come into the role, I come into the role, and it is time to step aside, I de-roll.
Yeah, I like that. So the roles that really are very emotional and maybe hard, you know, for someone's even mentally speaking. And there was a show I went for a while back, and it felt like it was so heavy. So I'm imagining myself as an actor who's taking up that role that is so heavy. For actors, because you also act, right? Yes. How do you get to deal with that? Do you need therapy for that? And you know, nowadays we're seeing sets that are bringing on board therapists, you know, for specifically that kind of those kinds of roles.
Yeah, well, at some point people have to end up seeing the therapist and all that. But I always believe for an easier de-rolling, you find that you can take different ways. Like, for example, I played a role where I had to do multiple personalities. And at the end of the day, I didn't even know, like, so which one? I kept on saying, let me not carry another personality and add on to myself. But you see, if you're a theater practitioner, then it means you have to know every other aspect of theater. So I find myself, I go do sound. So it means I go to another production. I take sound. It means I am taking another whole journey that is going to make me forget about this one. So I don't go back to acting immediately. And if I take acting, I take a very, very controversial role totally. Yeah, so it gives you another challenge of, oh, I'm doing another role, so let me. So it helps in a practical way rather than going and sitting and saying, I did this role and I need to come out of it.
So you distract yourself from that.
Yeah.
All right, what role do you play on Exodus?
Exodus, I'm playing the first wife of the king. Yeah, and it is very interesting because I'm carrying the things I've seen back then when I was a child with the first wives, and because I also come from a polygamous family, so I'm borrowing things. So yes, I have to be mean, I have to be good. I mean, I have to be a lot of things. But yeah, out of 4 wives, I'm the first wife. Yeah.
All right. So for someone who's sitting and watching us from home, how would you interpret the film as a whole from your perspective? Not the film, the play. Yeah, sorry.
From my perspective, I would like the whole aspect of how it kind of allows us to reflect on, you know, our journey and what the Kenyan people suffered during pre-colonial and colonial times, because the show focuses on different aspects such as forced labor, slavery, loss of identity, and etc. So, you know, I feel like it would allow me to kind of reflect and connect and have a sort of understanding of what people went through during those times and how they survived.
Okay, we should be winding up the show, and as we do that, maybe, you know, we are seeing more women taking up roles of not just acting. Not that acting is not a huge role, but we're seeing women acting. We're also seeing women doing the directing. We're also seeing women producing. We're seeing women doing the writing of these plays and films as well. Just how important is it for women to take up all these spaces?
Well, I feel it is very important in the aspect of we are also creative, and we have different ideas of how things can be put in place.
Yeah.
So it is important in a way that, you know, we leadership is something that is not supposed to be like on a specific side. So I mean, if we are taking the roles, it means it is time for us to also show the side of creativity that we have and all that. So it is communication. We believe that women are good communicators. Well, so it means when you come on stage, it is going to be even easiest, because now we understand all aspects of communication and all that. So if I'm talking about body language, I'm talking about what, then I should know like perfectly how that fits. So
yeah. Okay, so when is the play showing? Where is it showing? How do we go about coming to watch it?
The play is showing on the 29th of August at Kenya National Theatre. So please come online, purchase tickets, come to see our show. I promise you, you leave the theatre with an experience of a lifetime.
All right. For a young lady who may be watching the show and they have a dream of getting into theatre, but they are sort of scared, they have this fear in them, what would you say to them?
If you don't try it, then you don't know how to do it. So just do it, because again, for theatre, it gives you the space of doing it the first time and perfecting it. There is no, in interpretation, there is no perfect actor and someone who is not perfect. So just try and do it, and with the time, you find that confidence, because once you start it, you can never stop.
All right. I'll take your final remarks, 30 seconds each, beginning with you.
Well, at first I'd like to thank you for this opportunity and for interviewing us. I just want to encourage people to come and see the show. I feel like it will allow you, especially as a Kenyan, to come and understand, to view what people went through back then. And, you know, to kind of get it, I feel like it would also connect with you as an African and as a Kenyan. And so I'm just encouraging people to come and see the show and, you know, enjoy it, and just as well have fun, focus on the message that we're trying to convey as well, but also just enjoy the performances and all the hard work that has been put into the show.
All right. Less than 15 seconds. We're running out of time.
All right. Also, thank you. And I'm just also encouraging, like, come we heal together. Come we kill all the traumas that we have, and come we enjoy. I mean, come to the theatre. That is the only place that you can also just have fun and see something real.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and all the best on your upcoming show. This is where we get to end Good Morning Kenya this morning. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuning in. We do this each and every weekday morning. So I'll see you tomorrow, same time, and please, God willing, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
It was very ambitious. This is a far better place than the one she took against Morocco. She will step up and hit it well. Oh, that is a screamer from Dafur to give Algeria the lead with just 40 minutes on the clock. Look at the smile. Her second goal of the tournament, and what a hit as well. Aouar just didn't know what to do. One of the goals of the tournament from the 31-year-old Dafur. Look at that, up and over into the postage stamp of the top left-hand corner. He may well never score a better goal for Algeria. Pitch perfect, look at the technique as well. And Aouar simply didn't move.
Pata makao na boma yangu. The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station, your service.
Why do I feel the window is not safe?